Hey guys. Here's part 3 of Regret. Enjoy. Chapter 16, Joint Venture. Jiraiya knew that in order to keep spies from finding Orochimaru's secrets, the man built his hideout like a maze. This way, the intruder would take forever to find what he was looking for, and when he did, certainly the snake Sannin himself would be there to greet him or her. The perverted Sannin could see detection seals located throughout his path, which were meant to detect those who were unaware of such a weak level of security. To a master of seals such as himself, bypassing this was a piece of cake. What infuriated Jiraiya was his inability of sensing Sasuke Uchiha's chakra. He knew that the traitor was here, but he couldn't pinpoint his exact location. All his sensory techniques brought him to the location he was now. The problem was that, while he managed to exclude almost the entire base, he still had 10 doors to search Sasuke. If he ever opened a wrong one, the noise created by it could alert his ex-comrade ahead of time. He needed to find Sasuke before Orochimaru found him. Closing his eyes, Jiraiya started focusing on his other senses, in order to determine Sasuke's position. He focused on chakra sensory abilities, even sounds created by the Uchiha would do. Suddenly, he perceived a small sound coming from the farthest doors. As he walked, he slowly understood what the sound was. The methodical sound a breathing one emits upon sleep was heard, and Jiraiya knew that only one noise could be heard. As soon as he stopped in front of the 4th floor on the right side, he opened it slightly to look inside. He smiled upon recognizing the traitor, sleeping peacefully on his bed. Perhaps, he was dreaming about killing his older brother. The perverted Sannin approached the bed, now without any care for his well-being, seeing as his mission was about to be completed. When he touched Sasuke's arm, though, the man was alerted by the sudden opening of Sasuke's eyes in response to a surprise attack. An explosion soon followed as Sasuke used a strong fireball technique and threw it at Jiraiya. The perverted evaded with ease, and the attack opened a gigantic hole in the earth. The Sannin simply got up from the ground and cleaned his clothes, as he looked to the sun's direction. And there he stood, Uchiha Sasuke. The boy hadn't changed much, Jiraiya reasoned. He now wore an Oto Gakure's special outfit consisting of white shirt, black pants and a large rope belt. Jiraiya could see a sword behind Sasuke, which Jiraiya presumed to be another Kusanagi. Orochimaru wouldn't consider giving his precious Uchiha anything less. Jiraiya of the Sannin, what are you doing here? Sasuke asked with an arrogant tone. Jiraiya, though, only snorted at this kid's vague attempt at demanding anything of him. 3 years with the snake and already believing you can demand an explanation. You're 40 years too young to even demand anything out of me, brat. But if you must know, I'm here to capture you, Uchiha Sasuke. By associating with Konoha's vilest criminals, you are to be considered one as well. I'm not coming back until I achieve my vengeance. Once more, Jiraiya snorted at the kid. Whoever said that you had any say in this, kid? No matter how strong or capable you became these last 3 years, even your brother is reluctant to engage with me in combat. What makes you think you're any better? Jiraiya knew that Itachi was a touchy subject to him, so he decided to explore. Jiraiya even revealed a smirk that showed how little threat Sasuke represented at the moment, which infuriated the stoic Uchiha. Not wasting time, Sasuke vanished from his position and appeared behind Jiraiya, as if he was showing the Sannin his impressive speed. Jiraiya, though, continued to smile and turned to meet the Uchiha. He could see that his fully evolved Sharingan was active, but that meant little to a Sannin. The kid wanted to show his speed. So, Jiraiya decided to indulge the Uchiha a bit. It should be quite amusing to watch Sasuke's foolish attempt at facing a Sannin. Sasuke attempted to attack Jiraiya, in the hopes of evading his capture. However, Sasuke was surprised when Jiraiya's hand was already positioned to grab his arm. His Sharingan told him to change the maneuver, so Sasuke flipped his body and aimed a fierce kick on Jiraiya's stomach. Once more, the pervert Sannin's arm was already positioned in front of Sasuke's foot. This time, instead of just showing, Jiraiya aimed a Rasengan at Sasuke's stomach, which sent him flying towards the nearby wall. Sasuke managed to replace himself at the last moment with a rock, but he suffered a great deal of damage, because of Jiraiya's Rasengan. The Uchiha didn't have time to perform his Chidori-based techniques, and he was now holding his injured stomach. All because he thought he could take on a Sannin. He was about to summon his cursed chakra level 1 when Sasuke sensed his sensei approaching. Quite pitiful, O pride of the Uchiha clan. Certainly Itachi wouldn't have a problem dodging this technique. I even recall that my student Naruto could dodge that without much effort. Jiraiya charged now with full intent of dealing with the brat. However, He caught movement from the corner of his eye and dodged the snake attack, courtesy of his former comrade Orochimaru. As he looked to his right, he saw both Orochimaru and Kabuto looking at him with a predatory smile on their faces. It was indeed surprising to them how Jiraiya managed to avoid the detection seals. They shouldn't be, however, seeing as the man's knowledge of seals surpassed Orochimaru's. I certainly didn't expect that Tsunade would send you to deal with Sasuke-kun, Jiraiya. It wasn't a smart move, considering that you're now alone against us three. Once more, the pervert smirked. You, better than most, know that numbers mean nothing to me. Now, I was hoping to take on Sasuke and leave before you and your little pet arrived. I guess I overestimated my abilities. If Kabuto was affected by Jiraiya's nickname for him, he didn't show it. Orochimaru just smirked, though, in amusement. You are a failure and will always be considered as such. If you thought that you could escape with Sasuke without me knowing about it, you'll even more of a disgrace than I thought. Well, I'd hate to cut our meeting short, Orochimaru. But I'm afraid I must report my failure to Tsunade Heim. See ya, and Sasuke, despite everything, I can tell that you're weaker than my student. Even with your Sharingan and the cursed seal, you're no match for him. I'll be going now. Kabuto tried to intercept him by launching a chakra scalpel attack at the pervert, but to his dismay, the Jiraiya was merely a mud clone, which meant that the real one was far by now. Orochimaru frowned in dismay at Jiraiya's sudden appearance. In this type of situation, the pervert would attempt to take care of the three by himself, in hopes of killing Orochimaru once and for all. Perhaps, Jiraiya's mission wasn't to capture Sasuke, but Orochimaru couldn't figure out what Jiraiya's real intention could be. Throughout the entire confrontation, Jiraiya's reaction didn't alter like usual. He was smiling the entire time, and that in itself was troubling. He, then, turned to Sasuke and couldn't see much despite the fact the Uchiha was doubled over in pain right now, because of the Rasengan. He now had to destroy the base and look out for another one, as Jiraiya would reach Konoha soon and send a full battle squad here. Kabuto, we'll have to switch bases. Prepare to move in 4 hours tops. Oh, and treat Sasuke-kun's wounds, will ya? At Kumagakure . It had been 2 days since the fight between the strongest Jinchurikis out there, and right now, the Konoha delegation was inside the Raikage's office, waiting for the man's replay to Konoha's letter. The man supposed it was a blessing that the Hokage sent a team to his village. Perhaps, if he was busy with something else, then he wouldn't be able to stop the Akatsuki from capturing the two-tailed Jinchuriki ni Yugito. The Raikage didn't perceive the organization as dangerous, before seeing what he saw 2 days ago. Upon arriving with a full Onbu squad in the sewers, and was shocked to see Yugito covered by her blood, pinned to the wall by a metal rod. The fact that a Jinchuriki, even one of Yugito's level, lost to high-ranking shinobi didn't even compare to the danger posed by only one member of the organization. Kakuzu, S-ranked missing nin from Takigakura, occupied the top entries of Kumo's bingo book, and it had been since the Raikage was born. According to the information provided by Konoha, along with Kakuzu, the organization had also Uchiha Itachi, Hoshigaki Kisame, Deidara and Sasori as known members. The Raikage knew that any of these names could easily obliterate an entire village. Presuming that there is one shinobi who's commanding these missing nins, then it's plausible to assume that whoever the leader is, he was stronger than them. The Raikage couldn't think of names, other than the Kages themselves, that could be stronger. At least, with Yugito saved, it was considered a victory against such a worthy adversary. Now, the man was 100% sure of his next step. Konohagakure showed him that they were more prepared to face the organization than Kumo was. They had the intel. Jiraiya of the Sannin was perhaps the world's top information-gathering expert, and the fact that the Kyuubi Jinchuriki faced 4 members and dealt with 2 showed him that this Naruto person has what it takes to face them. Add Kirabai to the mix and they could, together, defeat the Akatsuki once and for all. Placing one against the other brought fruits after all. After finishing the letter, the Raikage signed it and gave it to Kakashi. Kakashi-san, in the name of my village, I'll accept the intel on the Akatsuki. I'll ask that you deliver this reply letter to the Hokage. Its contents are privy to her, so I trust that someone of your reputation understands the importance of what I just said. Kakashi, for his chance, just nodded and opened an empty scroll on top of the Raikage's desk. He sealed the Raikage's reply letter inside the scroll and bowed to the lightning shadow, Raikage. In Kakashi's opinion, the Raikage didn't need to bother, since he wasn't that interested in opening it. The Hokage would tell him anyway. Do not worry, Raikage-sama, the letter is safe with me. We'll be leaving now. The team from Konoha bowed in respect, before leaving the office. 2 seconds later, both Yugito and Kirabai shunshined inside the Raikage's office, as per the man's calling. He needed Kirabai to report the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's abilities, so that they could discuss and probably learn more from him. Being a Jinchuriki, it didn't take long for Yugito to heal most of her wounds and be discharged from the hospital. The woman was curious about this Naruto person, who happened to possess the strongest of the tailed beasts inside of him. Bro, that Naruto fellow is one piece of work. He managed to plan ahead of me and use that hip Fuin jutsu on me. He is more cunning than the animal who lives inside of him. Besides that, he has some nice Fuuten and Suten techniques, not to mention his skills with the Bojutsu. Overall, I'd say he was a low Jounin level. Kirabai reported, earning a nod from the Raikage. Yugito, though, was perplexed. Kirabai was forced to use his full transformation to deal with a low Jounin shinobi. She was considered a low-level Jounin and she couldn't handle Kirabai. Pardon Kirabai-sama, Raikage-sama, but how can this be? Kirabai is high-level Jounin to cage level. The Raikage nodded, before clearing his throat a bit. As my brother said, the boy is cunning. Without the beast's chakra, I'd say that Kirabai would be able to win the match. If Naruto didn't send 5 of his swords flying, then Kirabai would be able to deal with Naruto. The boy managed to plan ahead. He waited for Kirabai to transform, before using a strange type of seal that cuts the link between Jinchuriki and demon. After that, he used his own demon's chakra and overcame the weakened Kirabai. Even if the brat yielded in the end, I would have granted the victory to him. Still, it doesn't change the fact that Kirabai is stronger than Naruto. Yugito nodded, while slowly trying to gather as much information as possible regarding the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Kirabai, though, never left the smile off his face. The 9-0 will surpass me in no time, though. He is half my age and it's already causing me trouble. And quite frankly, I would enjoy fighting on his side. The Raikage appeared stoic on the outside, but he could see the fire on Kirabai's eyes. He could only smile, though. B would have what he wished for, in the end. At Konoha . It didn't take more than 3 days for Naruto's team to arrive in Konoha. The team went afterwards to the Hokage's office, where Kakashi reported everything. After Tsunade heard everything, she looked at Naruto for an instant, before rubbing her forehead. No matter what this boy did or didn't do, it always gave her a nasty headache. However, she relaxed once she heard that nobody was heavily injured. Tsunade was shocked that Akatsuki managed to invade a heavily secured village such as Kumagakure and even managed to win against the Nibi Jinchuriki. They almost succeeded in leaving Kumo if the Raikage wasn't fast enough. In the end, the mission was a success, which was a surprise. Tsunade was also surprised when Kakashi gave her a letter of reply written by the Raikage himself. Great job all of you, I'll be reading the letter. As of right now, Team Kakashi deserves a 2-day rest, dismissed. Everyone nodded and left for the day. Kakashi and Yamato called Naruto aside and urged him to follow. Since they arrived in the morning, they could use time to train and improve Naruto's control over the fox's chakra. The Chunin wanted none of that, however, as he didn't enjoy it much. Also, he couldn't tell them about his pact with the fox. He already could use 3 taels worth of chakra, but it was useless in his opinion. In his opinion, controlling 2 taels of chakra was more powerful than using 5, without any form of control. He remembered the Hachibi Jinkru Ariki and how he managed to use 8 taels. Nevertheless, he figured that with Kakashi and Yamato's experience, they might come up with several good exercises to improve his control over the fox's chakra. He just hoped that Yamato's control over the fox was better than Jiraya's seal. Once they reached the training ground, Naruto looked around for a bit. They had traveled a great distance away from the population, so that when Naruto used the fox's chakra, none of them could feel anything. Naruto, as far as I can see, your level of control over the fox's chakra reached the impressive barrier of 2 taels. Seeing as we have 2 days of rest, we'll focus on reaching the 3rd tael. Now, let me explain what Yamato will be doing. While you focus on using the fox's chakra, he'll use his technique in order to suppress the fox's will. Now, why don't you use 2 taels, so we can begin? Yamato, you are free to begin. Both Chunin and Jounin nodded. Yamato took a seat on the ground and started a long series of hand seals, before 5 wooden pillars rose around him. Naruto, then, closed his eyes 1 second to focus. When he opened, the red cloak began to envelop him, as was expected. His hair was more spiked and both his teeth and nails were sharpened. His whisker marks were more defined. A minute later, 1 tail appeared behind him and then the other. Kakashi could feel the oppressing aura all around him. However, he could see that besides that, Naruto was perfectly calm. It was a true testament to his will. Now, Naruto, I want you to use a third tail. Don't worry, Yamato is here to help you subdue the fox. The Chunin nodded, before clenching his fists. This would be his second time with 3 tails, and the first wasn't pretty. His body suddenly had the urge to bend over, like a fox would. An evil aura began to form a whirlpool around his body as the third tail was formed. By this time, a drop of sweat was already formed on Yamato's face. He only knew the theory behind this technique. He had no idea how much chakra he would use to control a few minutes of the fox's chakra. When the third tail appeared behind Naruto, both Kakashi and Yamato could hear the blondes growling. Kakashi could see that Naruto's entire body was trembling. In his right mind, Naruto was trying to control his own urges, influenced by the fox. At this state, Naruto wanted nothing more than to engage against the enemy. Naruto maintained a leveled breathing. He had to remain calm, so that he could adapt to the 3-tailed state without fear of becoming a liability in missions. It was hard, though, he reasoned. Every inch of his body demanded blood, with only his brain in the way. He had to keep pure thoughts on his mind, or else he would succumb. Right now, neither Kakashi nor Yamato could stop him, if Yamato's technique failed. It would take one small slip and a fourth tail would appear. He couldn't know what would happen, but he doubted that anyone would be able to stop him. Alright Naruto, that's enough. Stop using the fox's chakra. Kakashi's demand was a blessing. One tail at a time, Naruto managed to cut the link. He was on its knees soon after. Yamato thanked Kakashi as well, but the scarecrow Jounin was busy analyzing Naruto's situation. So far, the only element that is able to hold the Kyuubi's chakra was Naruto's own chakra. His chakra would strengthen the seal, which would control the fox's chakra as well. That meant that for the blonde to control more of Kyuubi's chakra, he would have to possess more chakra. Kakashi knew only one way of doing that. Exhausting his chakra supply every day, so that when Naruto wakes up, his chakra capacity will increase. It would require more than 2 days for that, he reasoned. However, given Naruto's skills, it would be unreasonable to take him off active missions for a while. He could perform exhausting exercises on his relaxing days. It was time to kick it up a notch, and both Kakashi and Yamato would have to step in. He approached the two and began to explain his theory. Okay, listen up you two. Instead of forcing Naruto to adapt to the fox's chakra, I believe it is beneficial to increase Naruto's own chakra capacity first. Naruto's seal depends on his chakra to keep the fox at bay. The higher Naruto's chakra is, higher the chances of control over the demon's chakra. That being said, after some rest, you'll exhaust your chakra capacity today. Tomorrow, we'll do the same thing. We'll repeat this procedure until you can control 3 tails worth of chakra without fear of becoming a liability. Naruto didn't remember the last time he suffered from fatigue, without using the fox's chakra, other than when he used his clones to use the Rasengan with one hand. What do you have in mind, Kakashi-sensei? It's quite difficult to tire me out. Not even Uro-sensei managed to do that. Jiraiya-sama is only one man Naruto. This time, both I and Yamato will be attacking you. It will be a jutsu-only battle. You may only defend using ninjutsu. Upon hearing it, even Yamato was shocked. Naruto's chakra capacity was easily 4 times larger than Kakashi's and Yamato's. Yamato doubted that they would be able to maintain the exercise for longer periods of time, at least without some soldier pills. Naruto, for his part, smiled at Kakashi's idea. Ninjutsu was his favorite area of the shinobi arts. With Yuagao . It was already nighttime and Konoha and Onbu Yuagao was busy patrolling the village. She heard from the Hokage that Naruto had already returned from his mission, but she couldn't locate him anywhere. It wasn't like him to vanish just like that, without even saying anything to her. She had a few minutes left before another Onbu would replace her. When she passed the Hokage monument, she was surprised by the sudden spike of chakra right on top of the mountain. Quickly climbing the mountain, she was shocked to see both Kakashi and Tenzu attacking Naruto nonstop with every jutsu available. So, he was being trained by Kakashi the entire time, she surmised. She saw both Kakashi and Yamato using the Great Dragon projectile technique at Naruto. The blonde created a fierce hurricane around his body, which managed to block the water dragon. Naruto, then, used some hand seals of his own and used a similar technique, one of his creations, called Water Dragon Fang technique. He aimed it at Tenzu, who lifted a mud barrier to block it. Kakashi took the opportunity and grabbed a lone shuriken and threw it at Naruto, before multiplying it. Naruto used the water barrier technique and used the water for another water dragon technique back at Kakashi. Yuigao questioned why they only used ninjutsu. She also could see that both Kakashi and Yamato were losing their abilities to stand, while Naruto remained perfectly fine. It was understandable, though, seeing as her boyfriend's chakra capacity was perhaps higher than Hokage-sama herself. Tenzu tried using another technique, but he was unconscious after the second hand seal, leaving Kakashi alone against Naruto. The man couldn't use his Sharingan, and like Yamato, he was at his limit. Naruto, though, didn't appear tired. Of course, she was talking about a man who was able to produce 500 cage bunshines and not tire. Wait, Naruto, let's finish this. I don't have enough chakra and Yamato here is already unconscious. Perhaps, I could be of assistance, Kakashi-senpai, Yuigao said, upon approaching her senior. I have a debt to settle with my boyfriend. Naruto-kun, it's at least customary to greet me after you return from your mission. The Chunin smiled at his girlfriend as he already knew what would follow. His chakra capacity was already reduced, due to Kakashi and Yamato's fight. Now, he would have to fight Yuigao using chakra through his bow staff. Kakashi nodded at the woman, who already grabbed her ninjato and attacked Naruto. While this was happening, Kakashi took his last soldier pill and gave it to Yamato. Naruto was, indeed, an endless pit of chakra, there was no better description. Each jounin had 2 soldier pills total. Seeing as the fatigue took over his body, Kakashi closed his eyes as well, next to the sleeping Yamato. Naruto and Yuigao saw this, but they paid it little mind. Naruto was gone for far too long and she would take full opportunity of every second with her boyfriend. And she didn't mean training with him. Next day . When Kakashi and Yamato woke up the next day, they saw that Naruto was already up training on his own. Yuigao was nowhere to be seen, so Kakashi figured that she was at the Anbu HQ. Little did he know what actually happened while they were asleep. From his distance, he couldn't see Naruto's blush as he remembered what happened, wondering if anyone else heard the couple's moans as they ravished each other. Yuigao began to show a much perverted side than usual as she came up with new positions that she wanted to try. The last one, though, was perhaps the weirdest one. He couldn't deny the results, though, as the hormones won the battle of dominance. Naruto was practicing some advanced katas, when Kakashi came to him. I figured that you'd at least sleep a little bit, Naruto. What happened last night? As if Naruto would tell him everything. Yuigao-chan and I sparred for a while, until she left. I went to sleep soon afterward, Kakashi-sensei. I don't require much, though. Kakashi presumed that his chakra recovery rate was much faster than the regular shinobi, because of the fox. Okay, then, keep it up for a while. This time, we'll let you exhaust your chakra supply with cage bunshines. You'll summon 100 and each will perform jutsus. Naruto nodded, while performing his dance. He focused wind chakra through his bow staff and started to spin it madly. A few seconds later, Kakashi couldn't see the staff spinning. However, he could see the typhoon that was generated from it. The blonde, then, stopped the spin movement, but still focused wind chakra through the weapon. He swung it and sent a wave of slicing wind towards a rock nearby. The rock was sliced in half soon afterward. Wind training involved sharpening your chakra and Naruto managed that aspect, making him a master of the element. Naruto, then, left his bow staff on the ground and turned to look at the still sleeping Yamato. Yesterday, the three used only jutsus against each other. And while chakra wasn't much concern for Naruto, it was for normal shinobi. Kakashi would be in the same situation if he used the Sharingan. Wouldn't it be best if we waited for Yamato to wake up, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi turned to his jounin partner and sighed in dismay. The man was snoring like crazy and he knew that it would take an entire day for the man to wake up. I'm afraid he will be sleeping the entire day, so I'll be overseeing your training. Also, since you won't be using the fox's chakra, his technique won't be necessary. Now, you can rest for 20 minutes only. After that, you'll be using chakra until night time. Doing as he was told, Naruto summoned an army of clones and told them to perform jutsus, until their chakra was gone. Naruto would, then, summon more as time went by. It was Kakashi's hope that Naruto's chakra capacity ends in more or less 2 hours. Those who didn't know what was going on here, would question why 500 Narutos were performing jutsu after jutsu without any need to. Kakashi could see typhoons, wind swords, jets of water, water barriers, etc. He saw some wind jutsus that he never saw Naruto use before. As instructed, every time a clone vanished, Naruto summoned one more to replace the one that vanished. The time between the substitutions worked well in the end. The information retrieved by the real one was going at a steady pace. An hour and a half later and Naruto was already showing signs of fatigue. Kakashi could only wonder how much time Naruto could manage if he was using the fox's chakra. 15 minutes later, the blonde's eyes threatened to fail him. Finally it took 1 hour and 45 minutes for Naruto to fall on the ground, unconscious. Immediately, Kakashi placed a seal on Naruto's forehead so that the fox can't take this opportunity and escape. This entire idea was Kakashi's and he wouldn't be able to bear the responsibility of freeing the beast. He, then, lifted Naruto's body and placed him next to the sleeping Yamato, before taking a seat on the ground in front of them. Taking a bento box, Kakashi decided to have some lunch, since it would take a while for both to wake up and he was hungry. Afterwards, he supposed it was high time to catch up on some reading. "I take it you finally managed to tire him out, senpai?" Yuigao asked, appearing in front of Kakashi, who didn't take his focus off the bento box. "I decided to increase the odds a little bit. Cage Bunshines wastes a lot of chakra and he's been summoning those and using other jutsus at the same time for almost 2 hours. I doubt that even Jiraya and Tsunade-sama could accomplish that together. Naruto's chakra capacity is endless. It amazes me that his chakra coils aren't fully developed yet. Without the Kyuubi's chakra, his chakra capacity is easily 4 times as mine. With the fox's chakra, his capacity raises to 100 times my own chakra capacity." Yuigao snorted behind her mask. "I still wonder what you're attempting by exhausting his chakra capacity, Kakashi-senpai. It's not that he needs to increase the amount. The Yondaime seal is dependent of Naruto's chakra in order to subdue the fox. So, if we increase Naruto's chakra capacity, then he'll have more chances at controlling the third tail stage." Yuigao nodded and bid her superior goodbye with the promise of passing by once more tonight. Inside Naruto's mind . "Oh right furball, what's your deal? You said I wouldn't have trouble using 3 tails of power. What was that all about?" Right after Naruto was unconscious, his mind went straight to the fox's lair and questioned the damn demon. According to the Kyuubi, Naruto wouldn't feel any animosity from the fox's chakra, upon using the third tail. However, despite the blonde's ability to subdue his urges, Naruto doubted that he could hold the fox's urges for more than 5 minutes. So, naturally, the Chunin demanded some explanations from the 9-tailed demon. Of course, the fox started with its usual chilling laughter, before explaining. "Quit complaining, you pathetic piece of meat, you should feel honored to have access to my power. Now, the reason why you weren't able to control 3 tails worth of my chakra was because your chakra coils aren't used to so much of my energy. The first time, at least, was meant for you to adapt to 3 tails worth of power." Naruto frowned at the demon, since this specific information was left out from the previous conversation. He knew, though, that if he was to comment about it, he would receive only laughter as reply. Still, Kyuubi wasn't finished. "My chakra is poisonous, brat, but since I'm inside you, you don't have to worry about your coils and tenketsus. The next time it'll be much easier. Oh, and do remember to explain to that dog sensei of yours that little plan of his is useless. The seal may be pumped by your chakra, but it cannot control the malice behind my chakra." Naruto knew this to be true, but he hadn't said anything in hopes that Kakashi would come up with something new. In the end, he managed to practice his jutsus a lot and managed to gather lots and lots of information from his clones. "If I find out, you're lying to me, damn furball, our deal is off. I'm not that thrilled to be using your chakra anyway." At the Hokage's office . It was already night time as Tsunade finished reading the Reikage's letter for the 10th time already. A was considered one of the proudest Kages ever to run Kumagakure, even more than his predecessor was. So, when the man writes a letter wanting to form a temporary alliance towards a common goal, Tsunade had to make sure if she was in a genjutsu instead. Reading once more, she sighed in dismay and remembered how Kumagakure used to be Konoha's worst enemies at the last great shinobi war. What would trigger this proposal, she mused. The letter said that after seeing what Akatsuki was capable of, the Reikage argued that Kumo and Konoha should join forces and deal with the Akatsuki once and for all. Tsunade had half a mind and to accept it right away. But first she needed to look over what was underneath this proposal. Tsunade learned that Naruto caused a lot of trouble for the Reikage's brother in Hachibi Jinchuriki. And according to Kakashi, the Reikage took Konoha's experience in dealing with the Akatsuki into great consideration. Perhaps, the man is hoping that Konoha would deal with the organization once and for all, and with it, save the Nibi and Hachibi Jinchuriki from being captured. No, he wouldn't resort to such cowardly means. The offer was too tempting, though Tsunade also had issues with internal clan business. The affair with the Hyuga clan that caused the death of the Hyuga Hisashi was still fresh in their minds. Quite certainly, they would demand retribution before accepting the alliance and, quite certainly, the Reikage wouldn't approve. The woman turned her neck to her right, before a toad appeared on her desk. She was expecting a letter from Jiraiya, but was surprised when the toad, instead, opened his mouth wide and an arm appeared from it. It was Jiraiya's arm. Within seconds, the Sannin was out of the toad's mouth and he saw Tsunade looking at him with a shocked expression. Suddenly, he remembered that she had yet to see this rather unorthodox method of transportation. Tsunade surpassed it, though, in time. She was hoping that he would explain soon. How was the mission? Did you manage to place the seal? Jiraiya responded the question with a smirk as he remembered what happened. As soon as he found Sasuke, he placed his hand on Sasuke's arm. But the real mission wasn't to harm him or even take him back to Konoha. Imprinted on his hand was a seal created by both Jiraiya and Tsunade. The seal would become a part of Sasuke's chakra system and will activate once Orochimaru attempted to take possession of the Uchiha's body. The seal would prevent the possession as well as release a potent poison inside Orochimaru's system, killing him instantly. It was the strongest poison that Tsunade had in her arsenal, which was lethal against snakes. You expected less from the great Jiraiya of the Sannin? By the look on her face, she was indeed expecting this. Good job. Perhaps, this way, we can prevent Orochimaru from obtaining the Sharingan. Now read this and tell me what you think. Jiraiya caught the letter tossed by Tsunade and read it intently for a while. I think you're in great trouble, that's what I think. Dealing with Akatsuki, in my book, is reason enough to accept it, but, I have to pass this motion to the council and we both know that Hisashi won't accept it. Jiraiya nodded and smiled at her. I'm sure you'll know what to do. Now I believe I'll go search for my student and congratulate him for a mission well done. It's not every day one person convinces a man such as the Reikage to propose an alliance and with us no less. I guess it's another one of those circumstances which none of us understand. Tsunade smiled and took a blank scroll. She wrote the order to gather the clan council in 2 days. Jiraiya had already gone after Naruto. Chapter 17, Old Hatred and New Decisions. Senju Tsunade had awoken this morning, dreading about the gigantic headache that would soon occur. A couple of hours ago, she had sent messages to all the clan heads of Konoha, as well as the Council of Elders, as to inform them of a meeting when she would present a document of extreme importance against the Akatsuki. The word alone had merit, so she didn't need to inform all of them of the document's contents beforehand. With 10 minutes left, Tsunade began to anticipate the possible arguments both in favor and against the Reikage's proposal for an alliance between Kumo, Konoha and Sunagakure for the special and only purpose of defeating the Akatsuki. Of course, she would give first word to the Hyuga clan, considering their past history with Kumo. Hyuga Hisashi, up to this day, still mourns his brother's actions and could quite possibly vote against Kumo's offer. Tsunade knew that to be bad, considering the Hyuga clan's power within the council. A great majority of the changes that Tsunade managed to approve in Konoha were due to the vote of confidence displayed by the Hyuga clan. Sure, the other ones were important, but it didn't mean much if the Hyuga are the opposition force. Still, the special and only purpose of defeating Akatsuki was an argument she could use to convince Hisashi that the alliance was only temporary. After hearing Kakashi's report about Naruto's fight against the Hachibi Jinchuriki, she was more than confident that both Naruto and the Reikage's brother would form one hell of a duo, capable of great things together. Not to mention the joint power of destruction as well. A knock on the door was heard, signaling the beginning of Tsunade's headache as her assistant Shizune's head appeared from within the open door. Tsunade-sama, all the clan heads are gathered. It's time to start. The first female Hokage nodded, before leaving one big sigh in dismay. Thanks Shizune, I'll be there in 1 minute. Please send word for Kakashi, he should be T. As if expecting to hear his name, the man suddenly entered the Hokage's office. I guess it's a good thing that I was passing by this neighborhood. Tsunade looked at the Jounin for a while, before a smirk appeared on her face. She didn't know why she was so surprised, since Kakashi always seemed to hang around the Hokage's office. Since you went to Kumo and talked with the Reikage, there might be some questions left for you, so I called you to participate as well. I'm sure you know that there is a high possibility that this alliance won't be approved, considering Kumo's history with the Hyuga. And even if the offer is approved by the majority of the council, I still have to tell the Kazekage about it, who will then pass the offer to his council. That last part really bummed Tsunade more than her council. Passing through 2 councils is a major situation. Kumo had trouble with all the major villages, not only with Konohagakure. Kakashi, though, wasn't fazed. I bet the worst is passing the motion through Konoha's council. Gaara has a major vote of confidence from his council. Both his brother and sister are part of it. I hope you're right, because I don't want to go through this mess for everything to be in vain. I'm even thinking of demanding some of Kumo's sake from the rakeage, Tsunade said, before marching towards the door with Kakashi and Shizune behind her. After entering the meeting room, Tsunade felt all eyes on her, while she crossed the room to reach her seat, flanked by both Kakashi and Shizune. While walking, she briefly studied everyone's reactions so as to verify those that would be more likely to oppose her in this manner. The majority of the ninja clan heads had the same faces as she remembered. The head of the Nara clan had a look of clear boredom as was expected of Shikaku. Kuza Akimichi and Inoiki Yamanaka were both smiling, like usual. The Aburame and Hyuga were collected and more reserved. The other clan heads were the same as well. The elders were unreadable, much to her frustration. In the end, though, only one elder's opinion mattered, because the other 2 would just follow his lead. This influential man was sitting right in front of the Hokage's seat on the other side of the table, with his only visible eye closed. Apart from Hiashi in this manner, Dansu was Tsunade's worst political enemy. Sundade could loathe him as much as she wanted, but she couldn't deny that he has a great amount of influence over this council's decisions. Countless times she remembered her old sensei being outvoted because of Dansu's actions. If she had issues with the Hyuga clan regarding the approval of the alliance, she now had to think about the possibility of Dansu meddling as well. Tsunade approached her seat and addressed everyone appropriately. Welcome distinguished clan heads and elders of Konoha. I appreciate you all for coming here and I promise that this will be as brief as possible. Typical bureaucratic greeting, but Tsunade couldn't simply start the meeting, cursing everyone and throwing Kumo's offer for them to vote for, without first explaining everything to its finest detail. As all of you know, 1 week ago, I've sent a team led by elite Jounin Hatake Kakashi towards Kumagakure in order to inform the rakeage of the Akatsuki organization's existence and how dangerous they can be. At first, the man was reluctant to even receive the info, saying that one small organization such as Akatsuki couldn't be considered a threat to one of the 5 great hidden villages. After extensive persuasion from Kakashi and his team, the rakeage, reluctantly, agreed to take a look at the info we presented. Of course, Tsunade couldn't simply reveal that the persuasion was actually a fight between Jinchurikis. She allowed some time for the information to sink in, before she continued. It took less than a second for the proud Yondaime rakeage to realize the danger posed by the organization, after taking a brief look on the known associates. Excuse me Hokage-sama, but why were we called here just for a mission report? The head of the Inuzuka clan asked, demonstrating her lack of patience in this manner. Before I explain the reason why I called you all here, I felt it was only reasonable to explain what happened beforehand. Now, the mission ended in success with a letter of reply by the rakeage. She took some time, knowing that she had the council's full attention right now. He starts the letter appreciating the information supplied by us, but the second part is the very reason why I called this meeting to order. The rakeage wishes to form an alliance with us in Sunagakure for the special purpose of defeating Akatsuki. The sudden silence that ruled the room was deafening as everyone, rather unconsciously, started looking at Hiashi for his reaction. Like Tsunade, everyone remembered the episode that pretty much solidified the Hyuga clan's reservations against Kumagakure. Hyuga Hiashi was clearly affected by the sudden news as something deeply buried within him resurfaced once more. The death of his brother, on that faithful day, affected him. Hiashi, I think everyone here knows what Kumo has done to your family, hence the main reason why I called this meeting. As Hokage, I grant you the right to, single-handedly, annul this alliance should it ever be approved by this council. She couldn't lie, because Hiashi would see right through it with his eyes. She had to speak to him with complete honesty, otherwise she wouldn't have his trust. Hiashi looked at the woman from the corner of his eyes, before closing it for a second. If I have the right to veto, then it's only logical to exclude the Hyuga clan's vote in this particular manner. I'll wait until the last vote to speak. Tsunade nodded, seeing as the man was right. Okay then, unless someone here has more objections, shall we move on to the votes? Tsunade asked, quite surprised that only Hiashi opened his mouth so far. Equals with Naruto. Unaware that his name was mentioned in the council meeting, Naruto was quite busy inside his bedroom. He was busy just lying on his bed as he watched his gorgeous and sexy girlfriend stripping. One thing that Yuigao often teased about was that she, in her Chunin days, was often summoned to perform the seduction and assassination missions that no other girl was willing to perform, except for Anko of course. That being said, she knew a lot of ways to render the target helpless against her control, which was just fine for Naruto. Lust associated with the danger of losing his life ended up inspiring his dirty mind into picturing the possible services provided by his mistress. Add to the fact that the woman was taking her battle clothes off and the blonde was shivering in anticipation. Being sensitive to swift emotion changes, Yuigao smirked at the reaction as she slowly unclipped her chest armor, while looking straight at Naruto's deep cerulean blue eyes. She could feel how much her man wanted her right now and her body responded to Naruto's desire. After the chest armor, came the white straps that separated the armor from her bare soft and desired skin. Instead of unwrapping it, though, Naruto was surprised when Yuigao took her ninjato and performed a quick slicing motion inches from her skin. Much to his surprise and utter amazement, the ninjato only sliced the wrappings and revealed her breasts. Author's note, there is a lemon here if you want to read it. Link to the story is in the description. After the lovemaking, the two considered their options. Both were covered with sweat from the lovemaking and a co-op shower would be the most suitable choice. But, instead, they simply remained in bed as Yuigao was busy resting her head on Naruto's chest. That moment right there was everything both cherished. Both were surrounded with life and death situations, with Naruto being hunted by the Akatsuki because of his Jinchuriki status and Yuigao being an Anbu captain. These precious moments together made all the difference in their worlds. That's why neither one of them ever felt the need to go out on dates or even appear to the public as boyfriend and girlfriend. In Naruto's world, the only ones who knew were Kakashi and the two Sanins. In Yuigao's world, her entire Anbu squad knew, but they were her family as much as the Sanins and Kakashi were Naruto's. They were the ones that mattered to this couple. This couldn't be better, right, Naruto-kun? Yuigao could see his smile that seemed to brighten the room every time. You got that right. Their only complaint was that Konoha didn't have a delivery service. Back at the meeting. A lot of time passed since the voting began and Tsunade was busy massaging her temples while listening to a minor ninja clan head announcing his vote against the alliance. The reasoning for such was valid. Pretty much all of those against it had every right to be upset at Kumagakure for their actions at the last great shinobi war. The man that just spoke belonged to a clan famous for their water-based techniques. The clan supplied a great load of new water ninjutsu for the hidden village in the leaves, and some of the techniques managed to save quite a lot of lives. The clan, though, suffered a great many casualties from the hands of Kumo's finest. So, the Hokage couldn't take away the merit of his decision. So far, the vote was pretty much tied. In fact, only one clan remained from voting, the Hyuga clan. Throughout the entire meeting, Hiashi remained silent with his eyes closed and his arms crossed. Well, after hearing everyone's votes and reasons for such, I announce that the voting is tied right now. Only one remains, so I pass the word to you, Hiashi. The destiny of this alliance is hereby decided by the Hyuga clan. Everyone who knew Tsunade up close knew the meaning behind her detached tone right now. She had lost all hope of the alliance's approval. She now depended on the head of the Hyuga clan to vote in favor of an alliance with a village that tried to kidnap his daughter Hinata and managed to kill his twin brother Hisashi. It was the same as expecting Sasuke to vote against his brother Itachi's death. It simply wasn't possible in her mind. Hiashi, for his part, opened his eyes, but remained with his arms crossed. He didn't stand up like the others, since he preferred to remain seated. Since the beginning of wars waged against Konohagakure, Kumagakure has been an enemy. I remember my deceased father and grandfather telling me about their actions during the first Great Ninja War, and since then, I've learned to watch out for them. But it wasn't until that fateful day when the Kumagakure emissary attempted to kidnap my daughter, which resulted in my brother's death, that I openly expressed my hatred for them. Hiashi spoke, with enough calm, about what was possibly the worst day of his life. Hisashi's death affected almost everyone in the clan, including both my daughter and my nephew Neji, up to the point that the boy resented the main family because of it. Therefore, Hokage-sama, based on those facts alone, my vote would be against the alliance. Tsunade released a sigh in dismay and nodded, but something inside her mind repeated the word with that escaped from the man's mouth. Nevertheless, with the situation we are facing right now, namely the organization Akatsuki and the danger they pose to our village, it would be quite selfish on my part to believe that Konohagakure alone could deal with the current threat. The known associates from the organization are dangerous enough in their own right, not to mention the other members we are still due to meet. For all we know, both Itachi and Kisame may be their weakest members. Kumagakure is in possession of 2 Jinka Rikis, both of them in full control of their tailed beasts. That's a power that we cannot ignore, and it would be in our favor against Akatsuki. Therefore, my vote is in favor of the alliance, but for the sole purpose of defeating Akatsuki, nothing more. As soon as Hiashi spoke, silence ruled the meeting as everyone looked at the pupil-less man in front of them with clear surprise. Even the Hokage was wide-eyed at this amazing turn of events. The one person she expected to ruin the alliance ended up saving it. With a smile on her face, she grabbed the official Hokage seal and branded the offer with it, before passing to Shizune for the necessary arrangements. Now that the first and, in her opinion, hardest part was over, it now came the time to pass the ball to the Kazekage and their council. And she had the perfect ninja for the assignment of communicating Gaara about the approval. After all, it was their idea to talk with the other Kages in the first place. If Tsunade wasn't mistaken, Yuiga was on a slight vacation right now. Perhaps, this little trip might do her some good as well. With Naruto . Still complaining about the lack of delivery services in Konoha, Naruto and Yuiga went to the kitchen and fixed some sandwiches for them. Their plan right now was to finish their sandwiches and go straight to bed. Neither one had any plans right now, and sleeping sounded like a winner. However, it was in these moments that something happened and ruined their moment. This time, it came from a knock on the door. Immediately, Naruto and Yuiga looked at each other for a while and sighed in dismay. Naruto didn't have many visitors, if any at all. Putting on some light clothes, since he was still naked, the blonde approached the door and opened before seeing Kakashi with his normal salute. "Yo Naruto, can I come in? I have some important business to discuss." "Sure Kakashi-sensei. Wait just a minute. Yuiga-chan, Kakashi is coming in." The man had enough experience to know that if he were to enter the apartment right now, he would have seen his ex-Onbu partner without her clothes. Practically imagining what occurred throughout the day, the man felt the need to let out his perverted laughter. The blonde seemed to catch on that, seeing as Jiraiya had the same look on his face at times. Both of them always pictured themselves reading/writing a book describing everything in full detail. "You're not thinking what I guess you're thinking, huh, Kakashi-sensei?" Kakashi looked surprised at his student, before waving dismissively, as in trying to dissuade his student of that idea. "Evening Kakashi-senpai," Yuiga said as she appeared behind Naruto with black shorts and a sleeveless shirt. Kakashi greeted the woman and entered the apartment as Naruto closed the door. Once the 3 shinobi were at the kitchen, Kakashi threw a scroll straight at Naruto. The blonde caught it and looked at his sensei. He knew what that meant. He had to leave Yuiga once more. Something in that sounded weird for him. "Where to this time, sensei?" Yuiga was sad as well, but maintained a stoic demeanor, while waiting for Kakashi's explanation. The man then took his time explaining what happened today, beginning from the Raikage's letter and finishing with the alliance's approval. He explained that the proposal must pass through the Sunagakure Council's analysis, hence the location of the mission. Naruto sighed once more and nodded at his sensei. Kakashi could see the sudden sad atmosphere in the room. The blonde dismissed himself to get dressed for the assignment, leaving Kakashi alone with Yuiga. "What's up with him?" Kakashi asked, but needed to rephrase it. "What's up with both of you?" Naruto had just arrived from that mission to Kumagakure and were hoping to spend some more time together. With the Onbu missions and his, we barely spent time together. Kakashi smiled, though. "Why are you smiling? Is my sadness amusing to you, Kakashi-senpai?" The man remembered how threatening this tone of hers really was, so he decided to stop teasing. He knew about her abilities with a sword. "I never said that I would be the one to go with him, Yuiga. Do you still have your old jounin clothes?" It took actually a minute for the woman to understand what was going on, before she smiled at the man. She left the table and went to tell the news to Naruto in a happier tone that Kakashi was accustomed to seeing. He figured that right now his presence was not necessary, so he went to the door. Before closing the door, he heard Naruto asking if Yuiga even had a jounin outfit, considering that she has been in Onbu for a long time now. Next day Naruto and Yuiga left Konoha at the break of dawn, considering the mission's importance. Naruto was wearing the same outfit he always wore, but Yuiga's was different. Not hotter than her Onbu outfit in Naruto's opinion, but it fitted her nicely. She didn't let go of the Onbu-style black pants and added with fishnet shirt, covered by the jounin vest. She never enjoyed using clothes that would restrict her sword movements, so she always preferred sleeveless clothes. It didn't mean that Naruto stopped commenting on how sexy she was in ninja clothes. She joked with him about quitting with the flattery, but inside she loved every single second of it. This was their first mission and she remembered to thank the Hokage for it. Surprisingly so, before leaving, they were greeted by Kakashi at the gates together with the Hokage. This was perhaps the first time Kakashi was early for something. It didn't take them long to leave the village's security perimeter as they charged towards Sunagakure with extreme speeds. Time was of the essence, after all. Okay Yuigao-chan, seeing as you're the leader of the mission, how shall we proceed? The woman could feel a playful tone, but decided to go along with it. Well, seeing as I'm the boss, I can order you to do anything, right? Otherwise, I could report your insubordination. Now her tone indicated something different and it looked like Naruto caught it right away. His girlfriend had some sort of kinky switch every now and then. It didn't mean that he would be complaining about it anytime soon, if ever at all. Yeah, so what is it that the boss requires, then? She turned at him with a smile that scared him a little bit. Even to a ninja, Suna required a 2-day trip, that meant that they would have to set up camp by the end of the day. With Sasuke . Lying alone in one of the many rooms stationed inside one of Orochimaru's hidden bases, Uchiha Sasuke had been looking at the ceiling for quite a long time now. The need for sleep didn't come to him as often as it should and it had started since the encounter with the Sannin Jiraya. 3 years ago, he betrayed Konohagakure, the very village his ancestors helped create, for one purpose. Gain power and with that power, kill his brother once and for all. Throughout the 3 years, Sasuke threw himself into a hard training, studying under a Sannin of Orochimaru's caliber. He managed to accumulate a great load of knowledge through his eyes up to the point that his level has surpassed that of a mid-level jounin in terms of skill. That's not to count his cursed seal level 1 and 2, both of which gives him an edge over high-level jounins. Yet, after all that training, after all that hard labor, Jiraiya hardly had to work in order to beat the shit out of him. The Uchiha clan's pride is simply uncontrollable and for Sasuke, being beaten so easily, really did hurt. However, what hurt even more was the pervert's comment about the fact that the Dobi was stronger than him. Getting beaten by a Sannin, he could understand given that even Orochimaru had trouble with the guy. The thought of being inferior to Naruto in skill simply wasn't believable. The Dobi was simply too much behind him 3 years ago, that even if Naruto managed to learn some stuff, he would be miles away from even being comparable. There was simply no chance in hell that the Dobi became that strong. Being around Orochimaru and Kabuto, Sasuke heard quite a lot of what happened recently. How they conversed about Naruto being able to deal with 2 Akatsuki agents Deidara of Iwagakure and Sasori of Sunagakure, both considered S-ranked missing nins. According to the information, Naruto's knowledge of wind ninjutsu was quite considerable, so Sasuke wondered about the possibility that the Dobi managed to learn elemental manipulation in only 3 years. He has been practicing since he was 9 years old under his father's tutelage. What did Naruto have that he didn't? 3 years ago, Sasuke truly believed he was being held back by Konoha, but now he couldn't help but realize that there wasn't much more the Sannin Orochimaru could give him. Perhaps, it was due time to go out there and fight some serious level shinobi and perhaps even copy new jutsus with the Sharingan. Itachi would meet his end by his hand one day, but right now he simply couldn't stay here any longer. The boy didn't need to be a genius to realize that his sensei would do everything in his grasp to stop Sasuke from fleeing. Sasuke also knew what Orochimaru's plans were for him and to tell the truth, he didn't believe it to be enough to defeat Itachi. Only a true Uchiha could defeat another, he thought. In order to escape, Sasuke had to take advantage of the man's increasing disease. Once he escaped, he would work twice as hard in order to master his skills against powerful ninjas. With Naruto . A day and a half has passed since Naruto and Yuigao left Konoha and they were already running throughout the desert. Since Naruto had already taken this path, Yuigao placed him inches in front of her, so that they could travel much faster. Naruto would use his wind skills to decrease the air resistance in front of him and compensate it behind him, thus increasing his speed as well as Yuigao's. If someone were to study more closely, it seemed as if there was a force field surrounding both of them. Yuigao had to admit that she had never felt this light before in her life. The noise from each step on the ground was almost non-existent. Once in the desert, the couple could see the place where Sunagakure was created appearing on the horizon. It would take 30 minutes more give or take for them to reach the hidden village of sand. Because of Naruto's technique, he ended up lifting a small path of sand, so if someone were to look from a telescope, he or she could spot a considerable ball of sand moving in a straight line for Suna. The gate guard did notice and warned the Kazekage immediately. Gaara took a while, but smiled upon feeling the person's identity along with someone else he didn't know. He asked his siblings to greet his fellow Jinchuriki brother. While going back to his office, Gaara hoped that Naruto came with some good news. Chapter 18, Teammate Reunion. Orochimaru was a perfectionist in every sense of the word. Everything he did, everything he designed, everything he thought was meant for a specific purpose. The man didn't bother his time with frivolities that didn't lead him to anything worthwhile. The same could be applied to his base-like design. Every base he created had the same design, in order to confuse intruders. His bases were shaped like a maze with a great number of hallways. Some of them were dead ends, some of them were filled with doors that led to empty rooms, and only a small number of hallways that actually led to the important parts of the base, like Orochimaru's lab, training grounds, and his subordinates' rooms. The halls that were dead ends even had hidden traps that would kill any intruder. That being said, if the intruder got lost, he would die. In one specific base located in the deep confines of Wind Country, aside from Kabuto and Orochimaru himself, only one shinobi resided. Uchiha Sasuke. The Sharingan user was currently inside his room resting after a hard training consisted of purely lightning manipulation. He stood still the entire time, not moving, but he was tired because of the strain of using large amounts of chakra. Because of the drug treatment provided by Kabuto, Sasuke's chakra took less time to be replenished. He could practically feel his chakra pool being filled. His heart rate was pounding quite hard at the prospect of what he was about to do when his chakra capacity returned to normal. After more than 3 years training under a Sannin, Sasuke figured that he didn't have much more to learn under the man. His next step towards improvement was experience against other fighters. He had fought against a great number of enemies throughout the year, but he always had either Orochimaru or Kabuto by his side. It just wasn't the same thing. With the base map memorized, Sasuke had created a plan to escape the base. Throughout this month, he observed the routine of both Orochimaru and Kabuto. The first was not a problem, since the man either was inside his lab or inside his room. Kabuto, though, was a problem, because he usually explored all the hallways of the base. Sasuke, though, figured out that after passing by his room, the man only returned 15 minutes later, thus giving Sasuke a nice window to escape. He only needed to be careful not to leave clues on his way out. Closing his eyes for the moment, he waited for his chakra to be filled. Kabuto's steps could be heard a mile away, so the Uchiha knew when he was coming. The sound of the steps increased, and thus Sasuke knew that Kabuto was passing by his hallway and doorstep. The door handle was turned a couple times, but Kabuto knew it was locked. It wasn't that much of a security, but Sasuke knew that should he use any type of technique to blast the door, his escape would be impossible. The Uchiha heard Kabuto walking once more and opened his eyes immediately. He had little time to leave. Quickly grabbing a hidden key below his bed, Sasuke slowly opened the door to his room and looked for any presence outside. He couldn't fully open the door because he couldn't risk causing any noise that would alert his caretakers. Once in the hallway, Sasuke closed the door and used his ki to lock it. With a quick burst of chakra, he ignited the ki on fire and melted it instantly. After a couple hand seals, the Uchiha placed a false surroundings genjutsu in front of his door so that when Kabuto passes by, he won't see anything different. The problem was now to walk towards the exit, without making a single sound. Anbu Shinobi had a nifty technique that consisted of creating a layer of chakra below their feet for infiltration purposes. Said technique happened to be in the details inside the Uchiha clan's library, and Sasuke remembered how he used to practice it by sneaking on his brother from time to time. Bastard somehow always knew I was coming. Sasuke took 10 minutes before he saw the exit in front of him. He allowed a few seconds and smirked at his plan. So far, he didn't feel anyone approaching. The only thing left was to take care of the sound ninja that stood in front of the base entrance as guards. The guards were 3 in total, but Sasuke dealt with them quickly, using the blunt side of his kusanagi sword. He used another genjutsu and quickly left the base towards another one that his clan used to have. Anyone who passed by here would think that the guards were taking their duty seriously, when in fact they would only wake up 2 or 3 hours later. Enough time for the Uchiha to vanish without a trace. He knew that Orochimaru had ways to find him because of the cursed seal, but his reach was limited to a 50 miles radius from the snake's position. Sasuke could cover this distance in less than 15 minutes. In Sunagakur . Unaware of the escape of his former teammate, Uzumaki Naruto and his girlfriend Yuigao had arrived at the hidden village of Wind, before being escorted towards the Kazekage's office by the Chunin guard. The village hadn't changed much since his last visit, but that wouldn't change anytime soon. The entire village was covered with sand and sand-colored buildings. The population wore clothes that protected them from the sandstorms and extreme heat. Aside from that, the village wasn't that bad in Naruto's book, though he figured that taking this heat and waking on hot sand daily would get on his damn nerves in no time at all. Yuigao didn't mind much, being oftentimes at the village when she was but a chunin. As soon as the Konoha ninjas entered the Kazekage's tower, Naruto couldn't help but release a sigh in relaxation upon escaping the strong heat. If the sand chunin was angered by it, he didn't comment, but Yuigao was looking at her boyfriend with a slight angered look for his disregard for others' living arrangements. Naruto, though, simply shrugged his shoulders at her worry, while they casually walked through the tower's hallways. As they walked, Naruto managed to recognize a few Suna ninjas, though one of them he was dreading actually. Baki appeared in front of them and Naruto remembered that the man was responsible for killing Yuigao's old lover, a Tokubutsu jounin named Gekko Hayate. Yuigao, for her part, recognized the man immediately and unconsciously grabbed her sword handle. Another hand joined hers while holding the sword and the woman was surprised that Naruto was stopping her. She was surprised at everything because her body pretty much acted on old hatred. She took a while to register what happened as the man passed by them. The sand chunin that was accompanying him stopped immediately and looked at the imminent threat. "Is there a problem?" the man asked, already in position to retaliate, before Naruto released his hold on Yuigao's. "Nothing you should concern yourself with, sorry about that. She gets jumpy with strangers from time to time." The chunin looked at them for a while before nodding. Yuigao looked at the blonde silently thanking him for the cover-up. As an Anbu captain, she had a very good idea of what could have happened if Naruto hadn't moved in time to stop her. The boy simply smiled affectionately and nodded at her. He knew how deep Yuigao's feelings for Hayate were. Ever since their paths crossed, they talked about all sorts of things, including what happened to his lover after Hayate was killed by the Sand Nin Baki. Naruto's pain from being a Jinchuriki did little to help him understand the pain of losing someone he loved, but he managed to help Yuigao by always being there for her, both mentally and physically. Being there physically meant being the punching bag for her frustrations. It didn't take them much longer to reach the Kazekage's office, before the chunin opened the door and let Naruto and Yuigao in. "Kazekage-sama, Uzumaki Naruto and Uzuki Yuigao from Konoha are here to see you." Gaara lifted his head from the stack of paperwork and looked at the door before his friend and a woman walked inside. "Greetings Kazekage-sama/hi there Gaara," Naruto and Yuigao said almost at the same time, before Yuigao looked at her boyfriend shocked at the level of disregard. It was one thing to say that to the Hokage, but to a kage of another village was unheard of. She could tell that the Kazekage wasn't annoyed as she thought he would be. On contrary, the Wind Shadow was smiling at her boyfriend. Yuigao moved this event and filed it inside the folder named Things Her Boyfriend Did and that she shouldn't be surprised he got away with it. It was becoming slightly hard to remember all of it, but it still had space in the hard drive for her to remember. "Since you're here Naruto, I guess that whatever info you have is in reference to Akatsuki." Naruto nodded, before starting to report. "The Hokage sent my team to Kumagakure in order to deliver a letter to the Raikage containing all information on Akatsuki and its members. Like you perhaps expected, the man, who is huge by the way, wasn't that much interested in receiving it. According to him, one organization made of 9 missing nin couldn't scare one of the great hidden villages." Despite Gaara's serious expression, he had to let out a small snort at that, showing how arrogant the Raikage was, but he let Naruto continue. After Kakashi-sensei mentioned some of their names, though, the Raikage changed his mind a bit. He agreed to accept the information, but only if I agreed to fight his brother, the Hachibi Jinchuriki. Gaara's eyebrow slightly rose at this as he knew that the Hachibi Jinchuriki was the only Jinchuriki that managed to master the full power of its Baijuu. Luckily for me, the guy underestimated me. I managed to seal off his Baijuu's chakra, leaving him tired enough for me to use the power of the fox and beat him. After Naruto finished, he could see Gaara smirking at him. "So, considering your victory over the Hachibi Jinchuriki, I assume that the Raikage accepted the info on Akatsuki?" The blonde nodded, talking once more. Yuigao was fine with Naruto doing all the talking. She was on vacation after all. "Yes, he did. During my fight, though, 2 Akatsuki members attempted to capture the 2-tailed Jinchuriki but the Raikage and his Anbu managed to stop them. It was pretty close, though, let me tell you. The woman was entirely drenched in blood and was about to be taken by the pair when the wreckage arrived, forcing the two to flee. I'd have imagined them to flee with her body, but somehow the wreckage managed to stop them. Gaara's brain was overloaded with new information on the organization. His stoic demeanor just couldn't keep up with Naruto's expertise in being at the same place that the organization was every goddamn time. Do you have their names, Naruto? I don't suppose that the members were Itachi and Kisame, since they are the members designated to capture you. Naruto smirked at Gaara's perception. One of them is Kakuzu from Waterfall and the other is Hidan from Hot Springs. Not much is known about the two of them, just the report from the Nibi Jinchuriki. According to her, Kakuzu barely fought at all, using only taijutsu at her with Earth Chakra. Hidan, though, is the most peculiar, at least from what her report said. He only attacked using a tri-blade red scythe. The woman used every skill she had at her disposal and she hit the man with all of them. Even some Baijuu-laced techniques weren't enough to kill the guy. He just kept coming. The technique Hidan used to beat her would have killed anyone else. Yugito, the Nibi Jinchuriki, only survived because of her Baijuu quickly closing the wound. She didn't understand it, but this Hidan character did something to his skin, before deliberately wounding himself. The attack was immediately transferred to Yugito as if he had attacked her instead. It is indeed quite disturbing. Gaara was paying attention the entire time and even taking notes of Naruto's explanation. The news was quite troubling if the report was accurate. An immortal shinobi was unheard of. Perhaps Hidan did something to Yugito before initiating his attack, otherwise it wouldn't be possible to establish said connection, Yuigao said, earning the Kazekage's attention, before nodding at the silent woman's logic. Gaara wasn't familiar with this village called Hot Springs, so he didn't know their practices. Indeed, in order to engage this S-ranked missing nin, he or she must not allow Hidan to do any harm. Perhaps his defense ability could be the answer to Hidan. Indeed, Yuigao-san. Anyway, Naruto, I believe you didn't come here merely to report your success. It was part of it, actually. The other reason is a notification scroll for you sent by the Hokage. Kumagakure not only accepted the information but also brought up the idea of a temporary alliance in order to defeat Akatsuki. It's up to Suna and its council now, to accept the terms, Naruto said, before giving the scroll to Gaara, who nodded, before opening the scroll completely. The terms weren't that extensive actually, allowing Gaara to analyze it entirely in only mere minutes. According to the scroll, the three villages would form a temporary truce in order to eliminate the threat represented by Akatsuki. It consisted of forming a special group of shinobi from all three villages in order to defeat the organization. I'll pass this with my council. Now, while your attempt bore fruit, mine didn't. The Tsushikage dismissed the idea of any form of alliance with Suna, much less with Konoha, for obvious reasons. Kirigakure and Takigakure decided to remain neutral in this matter. Both villages reasoned that since their Jinchuriki were already captured by the organization, there was no imminent threat right now to consider. Not even giving them the bigger picture of Akatsuki capturing the 9 Baijuu was enough. Still, now that Deidara and Sasori are dead, we only have 7 missing nin to deal with. Certainly we can create groups to counter each one of them, considering that we meet all of them, of course. Naruto and Yuigao nodded at Gaara's comment. Well, since our mission here is done, we'll be taking our leave, Gaara. The Kazekage appreciated the report and released them before going back to his paperwork. After leaving the Kazekage's office, Yuigao and Naruto turned to find a hotel for them to rest for the day. Their return to Konoha wasn't urgent, but consummating their relationship was. With Sasuke . Sasuke kept on running towards this special location using all the strength and chakra he had at his disposal. He had an idea of the distance needed for Orochimaru to use his curse seal against the Uchiha, but he wouldn't risk it. The place he was heading toward was used by the Uchiha clan for weapon and medicine supply, as well as information gathering in the past. This place held a lot of memories for young Sasuke as he remembered the numbers of times that he went there with his elder brother. Just thinking of those times made Sasuke's blood boil. Every memory he had were happy ones. For the life of him, he couldn't figure out how his brother went from that to what he is now. With a new vigor, Sasuke remained running until he could see a giant castle located in a deserted field. It didn't take 10 minutes before he arrived at the city as he walked throughout the seemingly empty street. The yellow eyes that appeared in all the dark places, though, showed him that he wasn't alone. No one attempted to appear before the Uchiha, and it suited him just fine since he wasn't looking forward to starting a conversation. The one he wanted to speak with certainly wouldn't be out on the streets. Sasuke entered what appeared to be an abandoned two-story house. Once inside, he crossed the hallway, leading towards a bright yellow light at the end. Before he could reach the end of the hallway, though, Sasuke was interrupted by a strange voice coming from behind. "It's been a long time, Sasuke-kun." The Uchiha turned and met two cats dressed in ninja gear. "Yes, it has Denka and Hina. Is Granny Cat here?" "She is at the usual place, waiting for you to arrive." Sasuke nodded and proceeded to walk once more, before he reached the end of the hallway. As soon as he stepped foot inside the seemingly small room, Sasuke couldn't help but look around once more. The room was rather plain with beige walls, completely filled with weapons from all types and sizes: shuriken, kunai, ninjato, katana, kodashi, bow staff, wakizashi, and pretty much a lot of other weapons that would lead a certain kunoichi and konoha through countless orgasms. Right in the middle of the room stood Granny Cat, appearing half cat and half woman. She was seating on top of a blue pillow, while smoking her pipe. "Sasuke-kun, it's been ages since you last came to visit." "Indeed, Granny Cat, the reason for the visit is brief as I'm in need of supplies." The woman nodded, though slightly peeved by the reserved expression on Sasuke's face. After gathering everything he needed, going from first aid kits to projectiles such as shuriken, kunai and explosive tags, Sasuke tossed the money to the elder woman and bowed in respect. He was about to turn and leave when the old lady decided to speak. "You're going after him now, aren't you?" Sasuke froze upon leaving the house, before turning to meet the old lady's gaze. Nowadays, the only one alive that remembered how close the Uchiha brothers were was her. The relation shared between the Uchiha clan and the cats goes a long way, and thus Granny Cat has seen a lot of things that happened to the Sharingan family. All that remains from a once prominent clan are Sasuke and Itachi. Now, one of the two will live and other will die. "Yes. It was nice seeing you, Granny Cat. I'll take my leave now." As she watched Sasuke leaving, the elder cat couldn't help but release a long sigh in dismay at what was about to happen between the Uchiha brothers. Orochimaru's base . What was once a rather secluded place occupied by only 3 shinobi, now was filled with Orochimaru's underlings. The reason was pretty simple, and it didn't take 2 seconds for everyone to know that their master was pissed, well, more pissed than usual. Last night, Uchiha Sasuke managed to escape from their grasp without so much of a trace. Both Orochimaru and Kabuto were clueless as to the reason behind the escape. Sasuke has never shown any hint of uneasiness about being there. Even to a man such as Orochimaru, who prided himself of being able to get a rise out of everyone with the smallest of efforts, excluding Itachi of course. The man's underlings were currently running throughout the corridors, trying to catch something that would lead them to Uchiha Sasuke. Meanwhile, Orochimaru was lying on his bed as he waited for any news concerning the whereabouts of his next vessel. The man was livid as he was constantly snarling his teeth in anger. The time was drawing near and he needed to switch bodies or else he would die. Sasuke's body was developed enough for Orochimaru's skills and knowledge. The time was so close. He was counting on making the transfer in 2 days from now. Kabuto was already preparing the medicine. Speaking of the devil, said man had just now entered his master's bedroom. "Speak to me, Kabuto. Have you found anything about Sasuke-kun?" Kabuto couldn't help but wince at the weak tone in which his master was speaking. Orochimaru's right-hand man slowly adjusted his glasses before fixing his gaze on his master's weak form lying on his bed. Considering the past experiences, Kabuto understood that anyone that came here with bad news ended up getting killed by Orochimaru. However, in the state he was now in, Kabuto doubted the man could pose the same level of threat. For the medic nin, it was slightly unnerving to see such a powerful and fierce shinobi being reduced to a pathetic and frail snake. "Nothing so far, Orochimaru-sama." No clues were found inside his room. His door was locked and yet he managed to open it, somehow, without alerting me. Orochimaru snarled once more, before coughing blood. "Failure is unacceptable, Kabuto. Find my vessel immediately." Kabuto nodded, even more unnerved by the lack of hostility and the likes, perhaps, of Orochimaru's sword inches from his neck. The right-hand man nodded, though, and left his master alone in pain. He coughed even more blood and cursed his bad luck that Sasuke went missing just a few days from the transfer. "It seems you're in a tough situation, Orochimaru." The voice alerted the Sannin, before a vortex appeared in front of his bed. The orange spiral mask wasn't familiar, but the outfit surely was. It was just his luck to face an Akatsuki member when he was too weak to defend himself. The man must have read his mind, because he started chuckling at him, daring to mock one of the Sannin. My appearance here before you must have put you on edge, huh? Surely, the news of Uchiha Sasuke escaping from your clutches wasn't the only bad occurrence today. Orochimaru immediately narrowed his eyes at the Akatsuki member. The news of Sasuke's defection couldn't have reached Akatsuki's ears so quickly. Even with a man such as Zetsu amongst their ranks, it would take at least 2 days from the event for the leader Pain to be aware of what really happened. Who are you and how do you know of Sasuke? Orochimaru was deeply suspicious of this man. He knew down to a complete certainty that the organization didn't and couldn't know about Sasuke so fast. Could it be that he helped Sasuke escape? Not possible, there are a great number of chakra detection seals sprawled all over this base. If he appeared, I would have known immediately. I'm not here to appease your curiosity, Orochimaru, and my time is too important to waste on lowlives like you. You can rest assured that Sasuke-kun will be taken care of. Tobi crossed his arms for a while, before speaking once more. I have been lenient with your actions so far, regarding your experiments as well as your actions against the Uchiha clan. I know everything you did ever since you were born. I also know that if you can't have Sasuke right now, then you'll just choose another body to transfer your soul into. That being said, I'm afraid you overstayed your time on these lands. As soon as Tobi finished talking, Orochimaru realized that his life was being threatened. He immediately went to action, but suddenly found himself unable to. His eyes were widened instantly as he stared at the lone Sharingan eye from the stranger. He immediately realized just why he was unable to move. Meigen Keisuke no Jutsu, demonic illusion shackling stakes technique. Orochimaru was thus trapped in one of the Uchiha's unbreakable genjutsu. Orochimaru tried as hard as he could to overpower this man's chakra, hoping to disrupt it. However, he couldn't do it right now. He was terribly ill and couldn't mold chakra without damaging his already damaged organs. He couldn't even use the sword hidden inside of him. The Akatsuki member smirked arrogantly at the look of realization in Orochimaru's eye. As he took a lone kunai, he couldn't help but comment. Who would have thought that the almighty Orochimaru of the Sannin, once praised as one of the strongest shinobi, would be killed by a lone kunai? Tobi quickly sliced Orochimaru's jugular with the kunai while maintaining the paralyzing genjutsu. The pain he just caused in Orochimaru would be enough to disrupt the genjutsu, but the Akatsuki member had a great deal of experience with the Sharingan and its capabilities. Casting a second layered genjutsu was considered a high-level technique for a regular genjutsu master, but for him it was a piece of cake. Such is the power granted by the accursed Sharingan. The wound inflicted on Orochimaru was enough to open a blood vessel. The Sannin snarled and started coughing blood, even more so than before. He couldn't do anything to stop it. So this is it? After everything he had done, everything he went through to get where he was right now, he would die with a single kunai wound. As he closed his eyes, one last thought invaded his mind as to the identity of his killer. At first, he was pissed to be killed so easily, even if the man had a Sharingan. But now that he understood who the man was, Orochimaru couldn't help but show his last evil smirk, before his spirit left his body. After checking for a while, Tobi let loose a small chuckle from being recognized by the Sannin, before vanishing just like he appeared in this room. 1 second later, entered Kabuto with bad news only to see the room filled with his master's blood and his master lying on his bed with no life in his eyes. At first, Kabuto was horrified that someone not only managed to infiltrate this hideout unnoticed, but also managed to kill the strongest Sannin without even alerting anyone of his presence. Undoubtedly so, whoever did this was powerful and extremely skilled. After a while, though, Kabuto's sick and twisted mind entered into play and he started imagining the possibility of using Orochimaru's body to study. Perhaps he could use the man's blood cells and incorporate them into his own. Quickly closing the door behind him, the room was suddenly dark as Kabuto started sealing Orochimaru's body in a scroll, before anyone could catch him doing. Meanwhile, the glass-wearing man was laughing like a hyena while doing so. After almost 30 years plotting the destruction of Konoha and becoming the ultimate being. In only one day, Orochimaru had lost the Sharingan, Sasuke's body for his transfer as well as his life. With Naruto . By the time the sun rose the next day, Naruto and Yuigao had already passed the gates of Sunagakure and left towards Konoha. They were by no means in a hurry to return to Konoha, but that didn't mean that they could kick back and relax. Both were considered of high value to the village, Yuigao as an Anbu captain and Naruto as one of the village's strongest Chunin and Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko. Naruto, being a Jinchuriki, showed that the more time he stayed away from the village, the the more possibility there was of Akatsuki appearing in more number and capture him. As usual, the heat was unbearable, but being accustomed to it, neither complained much. Well, Naruto did, but it was more like whining to Yuigao, as it was clear to her that his speed wasn't altered much because of it. Yesterday night, Naruto was summoned by the Kazekage. According to Gaara, his council approved the alliance and he had already sent a letter to Tsunade with the approval. On the way back to the hidden village in the leaves, Naruto was wondering if Suna's council was the same as the one held in Konoha. He knew from the Hokage that every time she needed to pass something with the council it ended up being a pain in the ass to deal with. He wondered if the same happened with Gaara. Kumo and Suna didn't share a dark past like Iwa had with Suna and Konoha. Therefore, Naruto presumed that convincing the council of Suna wouldn't be too hard. Still, he kept his thoughts. His main concern was if Gaara, being a Jinchuriki and treated badly in the past, managed to get everyone's acceptance. He didn't know, though, that the one who chose Gaara as the Kazekage was the council itself. The couple managed to cross the border between Fire and Wind country, before stopping for a small break. They were at a small clearing located in between the desert, Wind country, and small vegetation, Fire country, followed by a small stream that would lead to a considerably sized river up ahead. It was at this precise moment that Naruto stopped dead and looked in front of him. Yuigao was turned facing her lover, so she wasn't aware of what made her boyfriend act so seriously all of a sudden. As soon as she turned to see what was happening, Yuigao narrowed her eyes as well. "It's been a long time, Naruto," the mysterious man said. He was wearing black pants and a large rope belt that was clearly holding a sword on his back. He had a loose long-sleeved shirt which hangs open across his chest. Fingerless gloves and black sandals completed the look of the man in front of them. The light obscured his appearance a bit, but the mysterious man's identity was no mystery to either of the Konoha nin. Naruto couldn't believe his eyes at the moment, as in front of him was the very person he least wanted to meet. Right now, they were supposed to return to the village, in order to debrief the Hokage of the successful mission. Naruto just wasn't looking forward into dealing with such a pain at the moment. "Yes, it has Sasuke. I do wonder what you are doing here. Otogakure is quite far from here." Yuigao was actually thinking amongst the same lines as her attention was focused on the Uchiha. "I'm not obliged to explain to you anything." A snort could be heard from Naruto, followed by a mumble of arrogant prick, but the Anbu captain ignored it. Being the leader of this mission, the choice of what to do was Yuigao's. She was familiar with the special situation granted by the Hokage concerning Uchiha Sasuke. Yuigao at the time didn't agree, because anyone who chose to betray the village was immediately labeled a missing nin. It wasn't her place to argue with the Hokage, but she knew that the woman only granted this, because of Haruno Sakura's feelings of the boy. Naruto, at the time, would have preferred it this way as well, so Yuigao had to also blame him for Sasuke's treatment from the village he betrayed. Quickly assessing the situation, she turned to see Naruto's resolve on the matter. She didn't need to know him to see that Naruto intended to fight against Sasuke. Naruto had turned his eyes briefly to Yuigao. "How do you want to deal with this?" The woman couldn't help but smirk at the obvious restraint in his part. "I didn't know you would bother to ask, Naruto." He smirked at the obvious jab, but maintained the question. "We can't walk away, because even if Sasuke isn't a missing nin, there are still orders to capture him alive and bring him back to the village. I know for a fact that you have never faced an opponent you cannot kill, but you kind of have to in this situation. By your posture, I'm inclined to believe you wish to face him alone, am I right?" Naruto let out a small laugh at being so easily read by his girlfriend, but he could feel that the woman wasn't interested in denying his unspoken request. "I won't step in, unless I see that you're in danger, Naruto." Naruto nodded at her and took a couple steps further to face Sasuke. The Uchiha, for his part, considered the words of both Jiraiya and Orochimaru concerning Naruto. According to Orochimaru, Naruto was able to deal with 2 Akatsuki members, and Jiraiya said that Naruto was stronger than the Uchiha. Naruto was to be Sasuke's first opponent, then. "I figured you'd want to waste both our times with nonsense about going back to the village." Sasuke had his arms crossed while speaking to Naruto. "Sorry to disappoint you, team. 3 years ago, I've reached an important conclusion, do you want to hear it?" Sasuke said nothing, but Naruto wasn't counting on it. "You don't care about anyone other than yourself. 3 years ago, your intentions were clear as day. You wanted to kill me. There was no cursed seal influencing your mind. After that day, I started seeing you differently. I began to see your true colors as an arrogant, narrow-minded prick who wanted nothing but power handed to you in a silver platter, no matter what the cost would be. So, why should I even consider thinking of bringing you back? Even if I was able to that fateful day, you wouldn't change. The second you spotted a new chance to escape, you would take it. The fact that Naruto's tone hadn't altered throughout his explanation indicated that he meant every word. The old Naruto wouldn't stop screaming at him in a pathetic attempt to convince him of the wrongness behind his actions. You've changed. Let's see if you can back that speech up with your fists. Immediately after speaking, Sasuke vanished from his position and attacked Naruto with his sword. The movement was fast, but Naruto managed to follow and used his bow staff to parry the attack. If the Uchiha was surprised that Naruto matched his speed, he wasn't showing. The two maintained the weapons clashing for a good while, before Sasuke saw Naruto's weapon staring to glow white. He immediately backed away and swiftly threw a great number of shuriken at Naruto. The entire load of projectile was blocked as Naruto started twirling his staff in front of him very fast. After stopping the last of the shuriken, Naruto charged Sasuke once more with great speed. Even if Sasuke wasn't using his Sharingan, he was surprised that Naruto's speed was superior to his own. Naruto used one of his sequence attacks, forcing Sasuke on the defensive. The Uchiha was grinding his teeth in anger while parrying the strikes. He faced a bow staff before, but this one was different somehow. Naruto attacked from the left with the left side of the staff and twisted his body fast to attack Sasuke from the right, using the other side. Sasuke was hit full force and backed away a bit, before doing hand seals. Katengu no Jutsu, Fire Release, Grand Fireball Technique. The gigantic fireball charged at Naruto, but he managed to evade it before preparing some projectiles of his own. He threw them at Sasuke, before propelling them with the Ripusso, Wind Palm Gale, technique. Using his sword, this time with the Sharingan active, Sasuke sliced the projectile in half while looking at the blonde with different focus. He didn't feel he needed to use his eyes against Naruto, and that thought angered him greatly. Somehow, he believed that Naruto used very little of what he could do so far and that little had forced him to use his Dujutsu. Naruto saw the activation and snorted at the prick. Naruto knew that Sasuke would underestimate him. Everyone does it first, apparently. I see you started taking me seriously. Naruto was about to continue talking, but stopped once he felt the same thing he felt when he fought Itachi. Damn eyes. Deactivating the genjutsu casted by Sasuke, Naruto focused wind chakra through his bow staff and parried Sasuke's attack that would hit if he remained 2 more seconds inside the genjutsu. Naruto reminded that he was alone in this fight when against Itachi, he had Kakashi to aid him against the Sharingan's Dujutsu. It was a blessing that a lot of his ninjutsu required not only mastery over water and wind elements, but also a lot of chakra to use, otherwise he would be reluctant in using jutsu for Sasuke to copy them. You still have a long way to go until you match your brother, Sasuke. It took me longer to break his than it took yours. The mention of his brother's name made Sasuke snarl and he charged Naruto once more. With the Sharingan activated, Sasuke's speed appeared higher than Naruto's. However, as Sasuke appeared inches from Naruto's back, he suddenly felt his body become a lot heavier than it should be, diminishing his speed. Naruto parried the sword strike and aimed a kick at Sasuke's chest. The Uchiha caught the movement with his eyes and quickly evaded. When he attempted another strike, like before, he was unable to move as fast as he could when in close proximity, allowing Naruto to parry the strike once more. This time, though, Naruto's following strike was faster. He could see wind chakra being focused on Naruto's fist, but he didn't know why he couldn't move out of the way. Naruto's punch hit the Uchiha dead on and sent him spinning. Not bothering to wait, Naruto threw a couple of shuriken at the still flying Sasuke, before performing hand seals. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. 2 shuriken multiplied into 20 and charged Sasuke with the intention of turning him into a pin cushion. Seeing the attack coming his way, Sasuke snarled and summoned a couple snakes who left his sleeves and formed a protective barrier in front of him. The snakes were immediately dispelled, but they managed to stop the attack. Sasuke by then had already recovered from Naruto's attack and was now facing him. He snarled at the blonde with a passion for giving this much trouble. How are you doing this? Sasuke screamed, hoping to take Naruto's attention. I'm not obliged to explain anything to you, Sasuke. Naruto was about to move for another attack when he suddenly flinched in pain. The Sasuke in front of him was suddenly transformed into snakes as the real one was behind him with his sword piercing Naruto's back. Before Sasuke could say anything, though, he was surprised when the Naruto he stabbed was transformed into water, showing that Naruto managed to use a Mizu Kawarimi in time to avoid the attack. Sasuke looked around for a while, before preparing his sword to parry a powerful strike from his left. He was surprised as hell when the blonde followed suit with a hug instead of another attack. One look at Naruto with the Sharingan was enough to tell him that he needed to escape, and immediately. Bunshine Daibaku no Jutsu, exploding clone technique. Naruto didn't overwhelm his clone with too much chakra, since he didn't want to create a big explosion that could kill the Uchiha. He needed him alive after all. As the smoke cleared, Naruto was shocked. Half of Sasuke's body remained like before, but the other part was gray, and from his shoulder appeared a giant claw that was responsible for protecting him from the explosion. Immediately memories from their first fight came in Naruto's mind. Back then, Sasuke had 2 of those on his back, but he remembered that Sasuke used them to fly, not for protection. So, Sasuke had somehow increased his curse seal's usage. Naruto had to smile, though. It seems you're taking me more seriously than before, huh Sasuke? Who would have thought that the Dobi would force you this much? Sasuke's body reverted to normal, before black flames appeared all over his body. You're nothing more than an annoying pest, Naruto. It's time I put an end to this nonsense, Sasuke said, before going through hand seals. Katengur Yuka no Jutsu, fire release, great dragon fire technique. Sasuke exhaled large quantities of considerably sized fireballs with dragon heads at Naruto. Deciding to show Sasuke how outmatched he was against Naruto, the blonde rushed through his own series of hand seals. Suten Suryu Kiba no Jutsu, water release, water dragon fang technique. The Uchiha was surprised that Naruto was using a water-based ninjutsu. The blonde's water dragon was superior compared to Sasuke's fire ones, first because of the element. Second, while Sasuke focused in number, Naruto focused in size. The water dragon was charging at Sasuke while at the same time extinguishing Sasuke's fire dragons as if he wasn't there. After dealing with the fire dragons, the water dragon went after Sasuke. The Uchiha used his eyes to move from the dragon's path, not at all aware that this attack was slightly different than its brother, the Suiryu Udan. Sasuke saw the dragon pass by him, and he was about to charge Naruto with his curse seal level 1, when he saw the beast's claws coming right at him. Strangely so, the claws started shining. Sasuke, though, believed that he had evaded the attack, but as soon as the paw reached his position, pain was the only thing he felt as the large part of his clothing was ripped to shreds. A big gash was seen on his chest as well. As Naruto moved for the capture, he suddenly felt a great level of dark chakra overcoming Sasuke. Seconds after, Sasuke was looking at Naruto with something akin to anger. He was now fully transformed into the curse seal level 2, and thus his wounds were healed. He was snarling at Naruto, who in turn looked at his ex-teammate. The time to rely on his own power was over, as the second level curse seal was dangerous 3 years ago. Now, it was only logical to assume that it was more dangerous. Sasuke was about to lunge at Naruto, fully intending to kill him. However, he stopped dead in his tracks as soon as he felt the malevolent red chakra surrounding Naruto. The red aura around the blonde reminded Sasuke of his previous fight 3 years ago. He was surprised, though, when instead of one tail, 2 tails appeared behind Naruto. The knowledge of Naruto being the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko appeared in Sasuke's mind, and he cursed the blonde once more. According to Orochimaru, Naruto would never be able to use the Kyuubi's chakra because of its instability. After Naruto fully transformed, his eyes became similar to the fox and his teeth as well. His voice was altered as well. It seems you mastered your vile chakra, Sasuke, congratulations. While I haven't fully mastered mine, the amount I can use is more than enough to deal with you. The Uchiha snarled and considered his options right now. He could only think of one attack that could be effective against the Jinchuriki, and that was the Chidori. He had no other technique, besides the one he wanted to use on Itachi, which could be used against Naruto. Even the one he intended to Itachi wasn't possible, considering the time needed to perform it. Doing the few hand seals, Sasuke began to focus great amounts of his cursed seal's chakra into the Chidori. First, it was blue, then it transformed into dark lightning as Sasuke looked at Naruto with extreme focus. There was just no way Naruto could dodge this, seeing as he had yet to charge that Rasengan of his. Sasuke lunged at the blonde with every speed he could muster and charged at Naruto. As he was inches from Naruto and almost on the verge of piercing the blonde's heart, however, Sasuke was surprised when a strong gust of wind started forming around the blonde. Sasuke immediately cursed his position, since he couldn't avoid it. The Chidori had lost its fight against Naruto's wind chakra, which was more powerful because of the fox's chakra. Sasuke's body was receiving multiple wind attacks all over his body. Fuuten Suresu no Tatsumaki, wind release, slicing tornado technique. The Uchiha's screams were buffered by the force of the wind. His cursed seal was already receded by the time his body hit the ground hard. Sasuke was unconscious upon hitting his head on the ground. Immediately dispelling the fox's chakra, Naruto controlled his breathing for a while, before looking at the downed Uchiha in front of him. Up to this point, Naruto only said that he had forgotten about the Uchiha as a friend and a teammate. With Sasuke, you really couldn't be sure until they exchanged fists with each other. This way, Naruto could see if he had really forgotten Sasuke. As he looked, he couldn't help but snort. It was true. He had felt no sympathy whatsoever for the unconscious Uchiha. Now, he would be taken back to Konoha and dealt with as the traitor he was. As he started walking, Uegao joined him and placed a hand on his shoulder. A small nod from her was all it took for Naruto. A sudden presence alerted the two, before they turned to Sasuke. I see that Sasuke lost. The type of clothes immediately set the couple on edge. Akatsuki Naruto immediately cursed their appearance. He wasted a great load of chakra fighting Sasuke. Uegao was immediately by his side, also dreading their presence. You're getting stronger, Uzumaki Naruto. You'll certainly prove more useful to me than I have anticipated. Relax, I'm not interested in capturing you right now. However, the time will certainly come and you won't able to do anything about it, Tobi said, before vanishing with his vortex with the unconscious Sasuke on his shoulder. The Konoha ninja were surprised to see that the man vanished instantly as if he wasn't even there in the first place. Just who was this new member? Naruto and Uegao turned and hurried back to Konoha. What started out as a rather easy C-ranked mission, turned out to be A-ranked, because of the encounter. Chapter 19, Tri-Alliances Formation. Senju Tsunade had awakened this morning actually believing today would be a beautiful day. She had every reason to believe so, as the sky was clear of any clouds and the soothing wind was able to keep the village cooled despite the excessive heat that bombarded Konoha this fine morning. On the way to her office, people stopped her to compliment her on her duties as Hokage. Overall, it would certainly be a nice day, a relaxing one in these troubled times, because of the threat generated by Akatsuki. Nothing could ever take away her happiness. That was before entering in her office and seeing that Naruto and Uegao had returned from their C-ranked mission on Sunagakur. Just by seeing the brat, she immediately became aware that while Naruto was alive and breathing, he would always give her a headache. After hearing the report, Tsunade shouldn't have been surprised. So let me get this straight. The pause to rub her forehead in a pathetic attempt to ease the painful headache was quite amusing. You two left Konoha to Sunagakur for a simple C-ranked mission. After delivering the scroll and receiving word of the Suna Council's approval of the alliance, you two came back to Konoha, only to conveniently, I might add, bump into Uchiha Sasuke, who had escaped from Orochimaru's clutches and decided to engage in a fierce battle involving cursed seals and the fox's chakra. Naruto and Uegao nodded, allowing the Hokage more time to process the rest of the mission. After Naruto was victorious, an Akatsuki member came and took Sasuke away before either of you could capture him. The Chunin and Anbu captain on vacation nodded again, before waiting as the Hokage finished rubbing her forehead for a while. She then lifted her head to see the Chunin she grew so fond of. There were indeed times when Tsunade wondered how her sensei managed to handle the boy. Let me ask you something, Naruto, and I hope you can give me a straight answer, because I'm pretty much baffled at this point. Naruto was surprised and a little scared of the woman in front of him. She still hadn't stopped massaging her forehead. How is it that every time you're assigned a C-ranked mission, something terribly bad happens that raises the mission specs to at least A-ranked? I wonder if you are the one who looks for trouble or trouble somehow seeks you. Uegao and pretty much all hidden Anbu present in the Hokage's office would have laughed their asses off at the question if none of them knew how pissed off their leader could be when she started rubbing her forehead like that. Naruto, for his turn, couldn't help but offer an innocent smile at his Hokage. However, now that Tsunade raised a valid topic, Naruto began to wonder what the deal was here. Pretty sure that trouble is the one after me. You know that I wouldn't go after Sasuke. Tsunade sighed once more and looked at the two shinobi. Yes, I do know. The good thing is that neither of you are hurt. The alliance was accepted by Suna, so both the Kazekage and the Raikage will be arriving here in 1 week, as per the agreement. There will be no more missions assigned to you, Naruto, seeing as you will take part in the meeting. I will be calling Sakura and Kakashi here to inform them of the latest developments concerning Sasuke. Despite the severe headache you caused me, I'd say you did one hell of a job putting that brat in his place. Naruto simply nodded, before Tsunade turned to her. Yuagao, you are to report tomorrow to your Onbu team. The woman nodded, before both were dismissed for the time being, leaving Tsunade alone to ponder on things. I guess Sasuke wasn't that keen on Orochimaru taking his body, huh? A slight miscalculation in your plans, Haim. The back wall of the office suddenly shimmered and Jiraiya appeared with a serious visage. At least we are confident that our teammate won't be able to get his hands on Sasuke now that Akatsuki has him. In any case, I must prepare for when the Kijis arrive here in a week. Jiraiya nodded and was about to leave, when he remembered something about the snake Sanin. One last thing before I leave, there has been some rumors behind Sasuke's disappearance from Orochimaru's clutches. Though I hardly believe those to be true, I believe it's high time we took our time to assess its veracity. Tsunade stopped her paperwork and looked at the pervert with a keen eye. Today really wasn't a good day and her gut feeling told that it was about to become even worse. Upon ushering the pervert about the content of the rumors, she was surprised when the man's eyes had lost their focus for a brief moment, indicating something akin to grief. Words out there are that while Sasuke escaped, someone invaded Orochimaru's room and killed him. Tsunade's eyes widened as she processed the rumor. I still remain skeptical about it, seeing how far that snake goes to protect himself from both human and nature attacks. However, I'll look into it and let you know if it's really true. Tsunade nodded, even though she was still busy processing everything. Who would be powerful enough to slip inside Orochimaru's lair and kill him so efficiently? As the woman issued Sakura and Kakashi for a meeting, Tsunade began to ponder on the possibility of someone like Orochimaru, an S-rank shinobi, be killed without a huge and destructive battle behind it. Perhaps it was her instincts kicking, but she couldn't help but shake off the possibility that perhaps Orochimaru's demise was linked to what happened in Naruto and Yuagao's altercation with Sasuke and the mysterious Akatsuki agent. Another question that now plagued the woman Hokage's mind was what Akatsuki could possibly want with Sasuke? As far as she was aware, they already have a pair of Sharingan and Itachi. Tsunade stopped her inner monologue when she heard Sakura entering her office. Kakashi no doubt was already waiting behind the window for his student to arrive. As soon as both Jounin and Chunin were lined up in front of the Hokage, the woman released a sigh and began to explain about what happened. Kakashi, Sakura, I called you both here because of certain events that occurred with Uchiha Sasuke. Both members of Team 7 narrowed their eyes as Tsunade began to report everything. With Naruto . After leaving their leader's office, Naruto and Yuagao were casually walking amongst the streets of the village. Neither of them appeared in the mood for much, considering what happened on the way back from Sunagakure. Yuagao wanted nothing more than a nice shower and to enjoy a quiet round of sake inside her home. When the Akatsuki appeared, the woman feared that they would take advantage of Naruto's fight and attempt to capture him. When the man left with Sasuke, the woman released her breath. She didn't even know that she was holding it. Turning to her boyfriend, his appearance appeared casual, almost aloof to the situation they had just walked away from. She could see in his eyes, though, that he was considering the situation carefully. It was clear that both needed to do something to shake their minds away from the outside world. Naruto, I think I'll head home and rest a bit. What about you? The blonde smiled tiredly at that. I think I'll head to Ichiraku's and have my usual ramen, but some relaxation is a good idea. Meet at your house in about an hour? His question was met with a gentle kiss on his right cheek, before Yuagao left in a shunshine. It took close to 10 minutes, before the blonde Chunin began his usual ritual of ramen worshipping. Before that, he had apologized to both Tucci and Ayame for not coming more often. Ayame only smiled at the boy, but her father kept his angry facade, before relenting and making another sequence of ramen bowls for their favorite customer. Half an hour later and with a full stomach, Naruto left the ramen stand and headed towards Yuagao's apartment where he guessed the woman would be waiting with a bottle of sake. At Tsunade's office . By the time the Hokage finished reporting what happened, she waited to see their reaction regarding Sasuke. It was indeed a lot to take in, so Tsunade just waited. She could see the look of regret in Kakashi's face, despite the man's ability of concealing his emotions to others. She could also see the look of hurt in Sakura's. Honestly, Tsunade wished the girl would let go of her academy crush. It just wasn't natural. The extent of their relationship was that of mere comrades. 5 seconds later, Kakashi's look was transformed into apparent boredom like he usually did. It was how the man coped, after all. No doubt, he will leave the office and head to the memorial stone afterward. Sakura took longer to recuperate, before looking at her mentor. So what will we do, Hokage-sama? About Sasuke, I mean? Tsunade was already expecting said question and answered with a sigh, already expecting the backlash. Nothing. She didn't need to look up to see that Sakura was looking her incredulously. It is one thing when Sasuke was under Orochimaru's command, but now Akatsuki has him. They could be anywhere in the entire elemental nations. Even if we utilized our entire ninja force just to search for him, which we won't, we wouldn't be able to cover everywhere. Looking up and matching her student's fierce gaze, Tsunade finished her statement. You know this, Sakura. Sakura was considered by her mentor an outstanding medic nin and leveled-minded in most situations, but when Uchiha Sasuke was concerned, it seemed as if Sakura simply reverted to her academy days and worshipped the Uchiha. The Chunin bluntly asked to be dismissed and left the room, leaving Tsunade and Kakashi alone to converse. As to you, Kakashi, I'll give a simple word of advice. Sarutobi-sensei had the same look on his face when Orochimaru was mentioned. It wasn't anyone's fault, but Sasuke's. Now, Kakashi, in 1 week's time, both the Raikage and the Kazekage will arrive in order to discuss our alliance towards the elimination of the Akatsuki. As one of Konoha's elite jounin as well as Naruto-sensei, you will be participating. Just to let you know. You are dismissed. Kakashi nodded and turned to leave towards the door, before he turned and addressed the Hokage about some misconception behind her words earlier. She noticed his mood changing rapidly. Like Orochimaru was for Sandaime-sama, Sasuke is my responsibility, Tsunade-sama. You'd feel the same burden had Shizune betrayed Konoha. Not waiting to hear a reply, Kakashi left in a shunshine, leaving Tsunade alone to ponder on the words spoken by the elite jounin. Bonds formed between master and student were hard to break, and indeed when a student defects, the master bore with the consequence. However, while Orochimaru was like a son to Sarutobi-sensei, Sasuke and Kakashi were student and master for little more than a year, perhaps even less. Shizune has been her apprentice for 20 years. Of course, if she betrayed the village, it would be her responsibility. Perhaps, Kakashi was thinking of someone else when he mentioned Sasuke. She had known Kakashi's teammate Uchiha Obito, since they were a part of the Yondaime Hokage's Jinan team. She knew of the incident regarding Obito's death and how Kakashi's life deteriorated since then. It was a shame really that he couldn't let go of the past. But, then again, who was Tsunade to say anything about that? He stopped however by the door and turned slightly to the Hokage. With Sasuke . After taking Uchiha Sasuke back to his hidden base of operations, the Akatsuki agent placed the young Uchiha's body on a wooden table as he proceeded to analyze the changes done to Sasuke by Orochimaru. Tobi was no alien to the experiments conducted by the snake in order to maximize a shinobi's strength, speed, chakra capacity amongst other aspects. After a quick inspection, it was clear that whatever Orochimaru had done to Sasuke wasn't visible. His body muscle was perfectly natural. With his Sharingan, Tobi could detect a great pool of chakra in Sasuke's, meaning that Orochimaru wanted his next body to have a vast wealth of energy at his disposal. Enhancement drugs were obvious uses, so Tobi discarded it. He was however immensely surprised to see a strange seal located on the Uchiha's chest, and it was glowing when Tobi focused chakra nearby. The man was even more surprised when a toxin was released from the seal, forcing Tobi to quickly summon his battle fan and force the toxin out of the cave. It was clear that the seal wasn't the snake's doing. Certainly, if Orochimaru was planning on taking over Sasuke's body, then he wouldn't place a seal that released such a dangerous toxin. He would be dead instantly. Someone was really concerned that Orochimaru might take over the Sharingan and took measures to prevent such a possibility. Immediately, Konoha came to mind. Tobi knew of a man inside the village's forces that could very well be capable of such schemes. Shimura Dansu was the leader of a dark branch in the Anbu forces and hidden mastermind behind many of the dark steps taken by the hidden village in the leaves. However, after much consideration, Tobi ruled Dansu out of the equation. While it could very well be his doing, Tobi knew the deal made between Dansu and Itachi before the day he massacred the Uchiha clan. If Dansu lifted a finger against Sasuke, Itachi would come out and reveal the truth. No, Dansu wasn't the author of the seal. Besides Konoha, Tobi couldn't think of any village who knew about Orochimaru and Sasuke. Another question that plagued Tobi's mind was how Orochimaru failed to see such a seal in his vessel? That meant that the caster was at least a master in the art of sealing, and coming from Konoha, Tobi's mind immediately went to the Yondaime Hokage and his expertise in using Fuuinjutsu in close combat. Since the man was dead, Toby moved on to either the Yondaime's master or his student Kakashi. As sensei of Uchiha Sasuke, Kakashi could very well be the one behind this, but as skilled as the son of Sakumo was, he was no match for Orochimaru. Jiraiya, on the other hand, was as skilled as the snake and also considered a master in the art of sealing. A very interesting approach taken by the Gama Sanin, Toby mused. Quite possibly the god Im Hokage was aware if not even responsible for the powerful toxin's creation. Toby let out an amused laughter as he waited for Uchiha Sasuke to awaken from unconsciousness. While doing so, Toby's mind returned to Sasuke and Naruto's fight yesterday. As usual, the boy surprised Toby. He had already known Naruto to be skilled as he was the one that defeated Deidara and Sasori. However, the amount of the fox's chakra used by Naruto against Sasuke was unheard of until now. Toby knew of the fox chakra's toxic nature as well as the fact that every time that Naruto attempted to use it, his judgment became clouded. While Toby wished for Sasuke's defeat at Naruto's hands, he reasoned that Naruto's meteoric increase of skill was something to worry about in the future. He noticed that Sasuke was stirring from the table and moved closer to the younger Uchiha. The sooner Sasuke saw Toby's outfit, he will make the connection and demand answers. Uchiha Sasuke, for his part, slowly opened his eyes as he saw the cave ceiling. He was immediately startled as the last memory he had was fighting against the Dobi and losing. It was infuriating how Naruto was able to counter his every move. Everything Sasuke tried Naruto had something to counter. Now he didn't know if he was in Konoha or not. If Naruto managed to defeat him, then he and that woman next to him would no doubt take him back to the village. "So you are awake?" The voice startled the young Uchiha as he turned and saw a man with orange mask. Like Toby expected, Sasuke's eyes glanced his outfit briefly. "Who are you and where am I?" "Who am I" is a rather complicated question and I don't feel like answering it right now. As to where you are, let's just say inside a cave somewhere in Fire Country. Sasuke snarled at the introduction, before feeling the pain in his muscles courtesy of a certain Konoha Chunin. "That was quite a beating you received yesterday, Sasuke-kun. If it weren't for me taking you away, right now you'd be waking up in Konoha. Be glad that I have use for you, otherwise you'd find yourself in the comfort of Konoha's finest interrogators." Toby snorted in amusement as Sasuke snarled once more. He crossed his arms and casually took a seat on top of a medium-sized wooden box. "Now that you've settled down somewhat, I'd like to get to know Itachi-kun's younger brother." As expected, Sasuke's eyes were ablaze in fury. His eyes, if possible, were burning the strange man's outfit, the same one that his curse of a brother wore. "You will tell me where Itachi is and you will tell me right now." Sasuke even activated his Sharingan and added killing intent, the likes of which Toby remembered from Orochimaru. "It seems you believe yourself to be in a position where you can demand anything. How amusing. Itachi did say you lacked proper manners." Toby ignored Sasuke's angry outburst and cleared his throat a bit. "Instead of telling you where Itachi is, no matter how much I really want to do that, believe me, I'll tell you what I believe you would like to ask Itachi himself. Aren't you curious, Sasuke-kun? Aren't you curious to know the reason Itachi killed your entire clan?" Toby could practically see the machinations in Sasuke's brain working to process everything. "Before you naively say that he did everything just to test his skills, I will explain you the truth about Itachi's actions. It would be nice to know that Itachi had other reasons, right? That he wasn't the ruthless killer you always thought he was. If it was one thing Toby most enjoyed was to mess with people's minds. He loved seeing the confused expressions on the victim's face. How would you know about what happened and why would you tell me?" Toby smirked behind his mask. So the Uchiha had some brains after all. It would be too easy if he didn't. "First of all, he told me, and as to why I would tell you, it's because I feel like it. If you don't believe me, then you can use your Sharingan. You can tell when a person is lying, can't you? Trust me, Sasuke-kun, I do not have any reason to lie to you. I merely wish to impress upon you the actual truth of what happened. After that, you can do whatever you want. If you still want to kill him, I'll tell you where he is." Sasuke looked at the man for a while, before briefly nodding. Toby smirked. The boy was curious about it and Toby wouldn't even think of omitting anything. With that, he began to explain everything to Sasuke about the truth behind the event known as the Uchiha clan massacre. Author note, I won't bother writing the event. It's the same as canon. As Toby explained the actual truth of what happened back then, Sasuke's red Sharingan eyes were widening considerably. It was practically mandatory for a shinobi to doubt information coming from an unknown source, no matter how factual it seemed. If there was one time that the young Uchiha cursed the existence of the Sharingan, it was now. He wanted desperately not to believe any word this stranger in front of him was saying. However, while the accursed Dujutsu was the clan's pride, now Sasuke would give anything not to have it, because he couldn't see any deceit coming from the man's words. If the Sharingan hadn't spotted deceit, then it was the truth. Uchiha Itachi, the man Sasuke despised more than anything and also whose existence Sasuke was dedicated to erase, massacred the entire Uchiha clan, under orders from the higher-ups of Konoha. It was simply inconceivable. Tobi could see that Sasuke was still in denial, hence his plan was not done yet. Uchiha Itachi loved his village, clearly more than the clan. So he acted as a double agent for the Hokage in order to prevent a bloody civil war that was sure to occur had it not been for Itachi's actions. Thus, he was forced by the hidden village in the leaves to massacre his own family in order to save the entire village. After he acted in the village's name, he has become a missing nin, hunted for doing nothing but following the Hokage's orders. By now, Sasuke's body was trembling. His mind was a mess trying to process the information of Itachi, the Uchiha Itachi, his brother, the one who killed his entire family just to test his capabilities, was actually forced to do this. Sasuke didn't even register 2 waterfalls falling without restrictions from his eyes. Suddenly, all repressed memories of that fateful day appeared and Sasuke remembered that after Itachi stated the reasons for doing what he did, Sasuke went after Itachi throwing kunai at him screaming bloody murder. When Itachi merely deflected the kunai with his ninjato, Sasuke could see that Itachi was crying on that night. Now that the young Uchiha knew of what really happened, that Itachi did what he did under specific orders, he wondered how his older brother must have felt that day. It was the first and last time that Sasuke saw his older brother shed tears like that. By now, Sasuke was crying uncontrollably and his body was shaking. So unaware was the Uchiha of his own reflection that he hadn't noticed the different design in his Sharingan, much to Tobi's silent amusement. 1 week later. When the sun rose in Konoha, the village was in a buzz as shinobi were seen on the rooftops running left and right, north and south, in order to ensure that everything was in order for today's events. In a couple of hours, both the current Kazekage and the current Raikage would step inside the hidden village in the leaves, followed by their bodyguards as well as their choices for the group that will be tasked with facing the Akatsuki and defeating them once and for all. However, despite such an unprecedented event consisted of Kumagakure aligning with Konoha, Tsunade wouldn't be the Godime Hokage if her village was caught by surprise by Kumagakure, using this alliance in order to invade the village. Doing so otherwise would be a complete disregard to the events in the past, and Tsunade was far too experienced to believe in simple messages. If the alliance was legit, then the Raikage wouldn't feel something is amiss with the heavy security. The man respected strength above all else. The village prepared a very beautiful, if not heavily oppressive, room for the meeting to take place. It was located at the sublevel of the Hokage's administrative building, and it was designed for meetings held by Konoha and dignitaries from all over the elemental nations. The walls were made with special dark wood extracted from the lands where the Senju compound was located. The floor was 100% marble and was supporting a nice round mahogany-made table with enough seats for the kages. Normally, the room could support a much bigger table, however the situation didn't call for it. The bodyguards needed to be close to their leader, but far away from the other kages, just in case one wanted to act rashly because of a grudge. Tsunade wasn't worried, though, because the room was packed with chakra suppression seals as well as filled with Anbu personnel in the next door just in case. She took one of the seats available and remained there with her eyes closed and arms crossed as she waited for her fellow kages to arrive. Directly behind her were Jiraiya, Guy, Kakashi, Nara Shikaku and the village's Jinchuriki, Naruto. Kakashi was busy reading his little orange book while ignoring Guy's relentless attempt of settling their battle score with a game of rock, paper or scissors. Shikaku was called in the meeting to be the strategist, but right now he was busy sleeping. Jiraiya, for his part, was observing his apprentice's unusual behavior. Surely the blonde wasn't as hyperactive as he was before the training trip, but the last time he has seen Naruto like this was at the beginning of the training trip when Naruto was blaming himself for not being able to stop Uchiha Sasuke from fleeing the village. Quickly approaching the blonde, Jiraiya landed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, making the Chunin look at his teacher with a perplexed expression on his face. Jiraiya was smirking. "Is everything all right there, kiddo?" Naruto took a couple of seconds to answer, but nodded nonetheless. "Yeah, just that I don't think I should be here. This meeting involves kages and elite jounin only, I'm a Chunin." Jiraiya frowned at that, but smirked once more. "Just a Chunin you may be, but you were not only able to defeat 2 Akatsuki members, but also managed to win against the Hachibi Jinchuriki, who was rumored to be the perfect Jinchuriki by fully mastering his Baijuu. Naruto still remained contemplative despite hearing his achievements. You shouldn't sell yourself short, Naruto. Besides, this meeting isn't limited to rank, but one's strength and skill to face an S-ranked criminal. Without the Kyuubi's chakra, you are considered A-ranked already. Naruto nodded at the man with a smile on his face, despite knowing that the only reason he had managed to defeat Kirabai was because the man severely underestimated him. However, he was completely caught by surprise when Jiraiya resumed the conversation. When the meeting is over, meet me at the top of this building. I believe it's time for you to learn how to fully use the fox's chakra. At this, everyone in the room stopped and looked at the conversation. Tsunade merely smirked at this, since she and Pervert had already discussed this prior to the meeting. If Naruto wished to face S-ranked criminals, he would need to be stronger than he was already. What do you mean fully use the fox's chakra? I thought I was already doing so progressively. By now, Naruto could use full 3 taels worth of chakra without losing his mind. Jiraiya, though, smirked and placed another hand on Naruto's shoulder. The seal crafted by the Yondaime Hokage indeed allows the fox's chakra to mingle with your own over time, increasing your chakra capacity and your chakra coils. However, what is inside you right now is merely half of the fox's chakra. Like he expected, the blonde's eyes almost left its sockets, but he continued. The other half is safely guarded by a complex seal also designed by the Yondaime. He entrusted it to me and the toads to keep until it was time for you to fully use it. Trust me, when we're done, there won't be much in this world that will be able to face you. Everyone in the room was smiling at the blonde Chunin as he nodded at Jiraiya with a smile on his face. Konoha's gates . At this exact time, 9 individuals were seen crossing the huge gates of Konohagakure. Full squads of Onbu were watching their every move from the shadows, just in case anyone tries anything. The faces they recognized were both from the Reikage and the Kazekage as they walked side by side. Behind the Reikage, the Onbu personnel immediately recognized Kumo's 2 Jinchuriki ni Yugito and Kirabai. If these 2 so wished to release their beasts in the middle of the village, they could cause a great load of damage instantly. Close by them, 2 more Kumo nins were seen. The first one had dark skin and had white hair like the Reikage. He was using a white jounin vest and loose back pants. He carried a bored expression similar to Kakashi's. The most experienced Onbu managed to distinguish a very peculiar tattoo on his left shoulder, that once belonged to the Sandaime Reikage, meaning that the man knew how to use the previous cage's black lightning techniques. The second and last Kumo nin of the group was a Kunoichi. She had the same style of black pants, but her jounin vest was red instead of white. The male Onbu immediately felt the need to whistle at her nice figure, followed by her beautiful and long red hair that was easily reaching her legs. It was hard to see because of the long hair, but they could see the 2 scabbards strapped on her back. All in all, besides the Yondaime Reikage, Kumo had brought 2 Jinchuriki and 2 elite jounin. These group alone could provide Konoha one nasty headache. The Kazekage's group was by no means less impressive, as Gaara, the Kazekage, was also a Jinchuriki. They also recognized Suna's elite jounin Baki, one of the involved in the Suna sound invasion that occurred 4 years ago. Behind Baki, 2 more Suna nin followed. One of them was a Kunoichi, beautiful as well, with long black hair. She wore a black kimono strapped by a red bow. Strapped on her back were 2 medium-sized metal-made battle fans. By her side was a man that was entirely covered by a large sand-color robe from head to toe. Because of his choice in outfit, none of the Onbu personnel managed to get a good look on the guy. The 2 groups stopped soon in front of a platoon of 9 Onbu, with Yamato being the leader. Greetings Kazekage Dono, Reikage Dono, I'll be responsible for taking you where Hokage-sama is waiting. Please follow me. Both Kages nodded and briefly looked at the squads of Onbu following them from the roof, blending in the shadows. Gaara wasn't fazed by this, since he knew that it was mostly because of Kumo's presence inside the hidden village in the leaves. The Reikage, though, only smirked. It was only prudent, in his opinion. The man would be disappointed if the Hokage simply took his word for it and not be prepared for surprises. Konoha hadn't earned its reputation in the past as strongest of the hidden villages out of luck after all. As they passed, the citizens were giving them weary looks. It took a total of 10 minutes for everyone to reach the place of destination, the Hokage's office building. As soon as Yamato opened the door to the meeting, the ones inside the room turned their heads towards the new arrivals and quickly greeted them. Naruto quickly nodded towards his fellow Jinchuriki, being the only ones of the group that he knew so far. Each group settled to one of the two available seats in the table. The Kijis placed their respective hats on top of the table, before taking a seat. The bodyguards took place behind their respective leaders. Greetings Kazekage Dono, Reikage Dono. Welcome to Konohagakure. Both leaders nodded. The Reikage cleared his throat, calling all the attention in the room. Greetings Hokage Dono, since Kumo was the one who proposed this alliance, I feel it's best if I begin. First of all, I'd like to extend an appreciation towards Konoha for bringing forward the information about the Akatsuki. Despite being humiliated that my stupid brother lost to the Kyuubi Jinchuriki because of his idiocy, if it wasn't for your presence, Yugito would be captured by them. I'd never imagined seeing Kakuzu from Waterfall. Tsunade nodded, clearly satisfied knowing that when Kakashi came with the information, the Reikage acted all proudly, refused at first. Even if it wasn't Konoha's intention, their assignment managed to indirectly save Yugito, the Nibi Jinchuriki who was standing behind the Reikage. Now, as I recalled from the alliance proposal, each cage were to choose 4 elite shinobi to form a specialized group against the Akatsuki. With that being said, I'd like to begin by presenting you the ones I've chosen. Before you proceed, Reikage Dono, allow me to introduce Konoha's chief of strategy, Nara Shikaku. He will be here to aid us in how to deal with the organization. The Reikage nodded at the grown Shikamaru like. Nara Shikaku, member of Konoha's famous Ino Shikacho formation and one great pain in the ass to deal with. Shikaku merely smirked at the compliment. It's an honor to be here, Kazekage Dono, Reikage Dono and Hokage Dono. With that out of the way, the Reikage began announcing his group of 4 indications. First one of the group is named Daru, one of my elite Jounin, master of water and lightning techniques. He possesses the Ranten, storm release, Kekkei Genkai, thus able to mix water and lightning techniques into one. Besides that, he is a sword fighter. After his presentation, the elite Jounin in question stepped forward and bowed in respect to the other present. Naruto saw the bored expression on this man's face and couldn't help but see his Jounin sensei Kakashi. They both looked like they would fall asleep any time now. At least, with Shikamaru was different. He was asleep on occasions. He saw Shikaku busy studying Daru's info brought by the Reikage, while doing cross-references with the ones he already had of the ninjas from Konoha. Shikaku's job right now was to form 3 groups of 4 and elect the leader of the alliance. Second one of the group and last of the non-Jinchuriki is Ni Yugen, elite Jounin and Yugito's older sister. Also a swordswoman like Daru and master of fire and earth techniques, she also possesses an elemental Kekkei Genkai called Yutan, lava release. After introducing yet another Kekkei Genkai, the people in the room figured that the man enjoyed flaunting about the shinobi of his village. Naruto, though, was interested in seeing if he would be able to mix his elements wind and water. I'll spare the need for introducing both Yugito and Kirabai, because of their known abilities. Naruto could have sworn the man looked at him for a second there but kept quiet about it. Shikaku had already received the files of the Jinchuriki based on Konoha's own information, hence he didn't need introductions. The Hachibi Jinchuriki looked like he wanted to give his own introduction, but one look from the Reikage convinced him otherwise. Seeing as the Reikage's introduction was finished, Gaara cleared his throat and started with the ones he brought to form the group. From Suna, I've chosen my sensei Baki, who I believe Konoha's file has enough info for me to waste valuable time introducing. Behind Baki, these are Kazetai and Ju-K's, both elite Jounins of Sunagakure. Before Gaara could continue, the atmosphere in the room shifted and everyone turned to look at the pissed-off Reikage. He was looking at Kazetai with enough hatred that people were beginning to get anxious. Said man, though, just turned and smirked at the man. His face showed some wrinkles. He had short black hair which was barely hidden beneath the turban. His eyes were closed as he nodded towards the Reikage. Is there something wrong, Reikage Dono? I snarled once more and addressed the Kazekage, this time more controlled. I thought I killed him in the last great shinobi war. Kazetai slowly began to laugh in amusement, further irritating the Reikage. At the time, I made you believe you killed me, Reikage Dono. My platoon was retreating, so I need to as well. I used a subtle genjutsu at the time making you believe you had killed me. It was wartime so you didn't stick around to verify the kill. The look on the Reikage's face indicated that he wasn't thrilled about knowing about this development. This man before him was one of Suna's most dangerous shinobi in the war and at the time, I remembered him using those damn wind-oriented genjutsu that sounded and appeared so realistic. Indeed, the Kazekage wasn't pulling any punches here. The Reikage subtly looked at the kunoichi next to his mortal enemy and frowned. Indeed, Gaara wasn't pulling any punches, not against Akatsuki. The Raikage smirked at this and was really excited to see what this group is capable of. He had no doubt that Konoha would provide excellent candidates if the ones in the room is any indication. Seeing that the situation was normal, Gaara continued. Kazedakai is one of Suna's elite jounin, master of wind and earth ninjutsu. He is a master of the Kusarigama and so far no one has ever reached his level of expertise in my village. He also is a master of genjutsu like he so explained when engaging Raikage Dono in battle once. Next to him is Jiu Kase, also elite jounin and the strongest fan user in Sunagakur. As you might know, she is a master of wind techniques. She is also very proficient in the art of taijutsu. Upon hearing this, Mito Gai smirked, which wasn't unnoticed by Kakashi, who sighed in dismay. Shikaku received the paperwork and moved to a different pile as he now had the rest of information needed to sort out the groups. He already had the information of the Konoha shinobi, so he was now focused on the task ahead while Tsunade began introducing her chosen ones. Author note, I'm not going to waste time introducing the Konoha nins, because all of you know about Kakashi, Gai and Jiraiya. After introducing the group formation, the cage moved on to information about the enemy organization and known weaknesses. Shikaku wasn't focused on the discussion as he was busy processing the information of the chosen ones and how to create 3 cohesive units under one leadership. He already had 3 known leaders for each group. The Kazekage, being a Jinchuriki and a cage, was the first group's leader. Daru would be leader of group number 2 and Jiraiya was the leader of the third and last group. At first, he wanted to place at least 1 Jinchuriki per team, but he had 4 Jinchuriki and 3 teams, so it wouldn't be possible. Starting with Gaara's group, Shikaku chose a close-range fighter first since Gaara is a long-range fighter using his sand. Niyugen, being a close-ranged kenjutsu fighter, would complement Gaara nicely. She was also extremely ninjutsu capable, so she could move to midrange as well. Next, he needed a midrange fighter with knowledge of genjutsu in order to act both as support and front lines if necessary. Hatake Kakashi was a fine choice. He was considered a jack of all trades and should be able to assist the entire team. The last member of the team, Shikaku's side, had to be Yugito, for reasons not related to a wrong assumption of the woman's skills, but the fact that one of the team needed 2 Jinchuriki. Next was Jiraiya's team. Shikaku knew that the pervert wouldn't have it if his student wasn't on his team, so Naruto was the first and obvious choice. The Chunin, despite being the youngest of the group, thus the least experienced, was a force not to be trifled with. Naruto was considered both close and mid-range fighter with excellent knowledge in wind and water techniques, not to mention his bojutsu and vast chakra reserves, Kyuubi included. Kazedakai would fit in nicely with his genjutsu techniques. He would act both as support and front lines like Kakashi in the first group. The only element missing in the second group was long-range support, and Juke's was the obvious choice with her fan wind techniques. She was able to produce mass long-range wind techniques with those. Also, being a master of taijutsu, she could shift to close range and aid anyone, a powerful ability and also very rare in the shinobi world. The third group would be filled with the last 4 that weren't chosen so far, Daru, Baki, Kirabai and Gai, with Daru being the leader. Kirabai and Gai were close range with Baki supporting with mid-range ninjutsu. Daru was considered an elite jounin of Kumagakure and one of the more skilled shinobi there next to the Raikage himself and the Hachibi Jinchuriki. Kumo actually considered him better than the Nibi Jinchuriki, because of his Kekkei Genkai and his ninjutsu knowledge passed on by the Sandaime Raikage. With the teams formed, Shikaku cleared his throat and looked up, to which Tsunade smirked. Only Shikaku was able to formulate a plan in such little time. After the announcement of the teams and his reason behind it, a heavy silence ruled the room as both the Kazekage and the Raikage kept looking at Shikaku, who was matching their stare with a bored expression. He was already tired of shocking everyone with how fast he was able to gather information and draw a suitable conclusion. No wonder we could not take down the leaf. You are blessed with fine shinobi, Tsunade. Tsunade nodded. With the groups formed, they will have a week to familiarize with one another. In 2 days, we'll begin the training exercises. Now I've prepared rooms for all of you to stay in Konoha for the duration of the training exercises. With everything cleared up, the Kazekage and the Raikage's group were directed by the Anbu to where they would be staying for the week. Jiraiya and Naruto had already left the room together towards their intended objective. They had 2 days off after all, so Jiraiya planned to have it done by then. If Naruto was strong now, after doing what he and the Yondaime intended, the boy will be unstoppable. With Sasuke . Standing in front of a cliff, facing the ocean in front of him, Sasuke was busy contemplating the change of events. He had a slight change of outfit, opting for short sleeves for his white kimono. His mind was entirely focused on his brother's stoic visage and the words he had spoken to Sasuke so as to hide the actual truth. Itachi not only had to kill his entire clan because of Konoha, but also took the blame for it, becoming a missing nin. In his mind, Konoha not only betrayed his clan but also betrayed Itachi by hiding the truth and declaring Sasuke's brother as a missing nin. As Tobi intended, Sasuke's thirst for revenge was now directed at another entity. Now that you heard the truth, Sasuke-kun, what do you intend to do? Sasuke's eyes was closed as he turned to Tobi and then opened up, showing his version of the Mangenkyo Sharingan. I'll burn Konoha to the ground for what they did to me and my brother. Chapter 20, The Namikazes. Uchiha Sasuke was seen training with his new Mangenkyo Sharingan. Now that he had awakened the next evolution of the Sharingan eyes, he felt himself getting closer to fulfilling his newest ambition. His new goal to destroy Konoha could only compare to the amount of hatred he felt over his brother for what he did against the clan. Of course, Sasuke's new hatred was only fueled by his old one, to believe that everything happened because the Hokage and the Council of Elders had ordered Itachi to do so. The fact that his clan was planning a coup against the village seemed irrelevant to his reasoning now as he went through every skill he had, this time faster and stronger. At this point, Sasuke believed himself to be unstoppable. His eyes showed him everything in slow motion while he moved at his usual speed. Truly, Sasuke was proud of the accursed eye that blessed his clan since its foundation. However, after all his excitement in testing his new set of eyes, one thought still lingered in his mind. Yes, the Sharingan was a fearful tool, and even with his 3-tome Sharingan, few ever managed to get past Sasuke or even beat him in open combat. Yet, he wouldn't be in the spot he was now, if one Uzumaki Naruto didn't kick the living shit out of him. To this day, Sasuke still couldn't see how the Dobi could be that strong. Even his Curse Seal level 2 wasn't enough against that red energy of his. It was Sasuke's second time fighting a Jinchuriki and a second loss for him. The first time it was against Gaara, soon as Jinchuriki at the time of the invasion. He imagined that since Itachi was chosen by the Akatsuki to hunt the Baijuo, then Sasuke presumed that the man was able to beat them even when the demon containers uses the demon's powers. Though, so far there was no news or any proof that Itachi did defeat a Jinchuriki in battle, since according to the man who saved him from Naruto, Itachi was to be used in capturing the Kyuubi no Yoko not only because of the Sharingan, but also because Itachi had knowledge of all of Konoha's secret passageways, since he was an Anbu captain. Now practicing with his special sword and lighting chakra, Sasuke needed all the strength he could get to at least match his brother in strength. Attacking Konoha without it would be suicide. Plus, he was confident that his brother would be pissed at Konoha for placing him in said position. Sasuke was already picturing the village being burned by the dark flames of Amaterasu. The thought alone managed to place a rather satisfied smile on his face as he imagined his blade piercing every single one of them who dared betray his clan. Looking from above the valley, Tobi could see Sasuke smiling for no reason and could only venture a guess as to what made the young Uchiha smile so viciously. It was quite amusing to the unofficial leader of Akatsuki how easily he could twist the minds of others, playing in their hatred. Sasuke was actually quite easier than he assumed it would be. After all, the boy already carried a large amount of hatred over Itachi. Tobi only needed a small fact to redirect said hatred to Konoha. There was no doubt in his mind that Sasuke would be facing the Kyuubi Jinchuriki once more. This time, though, the Mangenkyo Sharingan would be more than enough to defeat Naruto, allowing the Akatsuki to make the move and capture the Jinchuriki. Tobi just kept watching Sasuke train, when a creature appeared from the ground behind him. Tobi didn't even need to turn to discuss with the present half-man half-plant, before Zetsu began to talk, beginning with the black part. The Raikage and the Kazekage had arrived in Konoha with their Jinchuriki and a few elite jounin. It seems the rumor of their alliance was true after all. The Tsuchikage no doubt wanted nothing to do with anything involving an alliance with Konoha, and the Mizukage's forces are too depleted to focus on anything but the consequences of their civil war. Nevertheless, the 3 villages alone possess enough firepower to stand their ground against us, I guess. Go and tell Pain, I'll be keeping Sasuke-kun here some company. The plant shinobi nodded, before going back to where he came from, leaving Tobi alone to ponder on the new turn of events. Akatsuki alone couldn't hope to march against a war, but perhaps this alliance doesn't involve a straight war, because for that to happen, both Iwa and Kiri had to join as well. No village is that stupid to use most of its force for this war and leave the village unprotected, unless all the 5 great hidden villages joined in the alliance. That being said, It would be a battle of their elite against the Akatsuki members. Toby smirked at that. The remaining Jinchuriki would be coming to them, relieving the organization from having to find all of them. In Konoha . Right after leaving the meeting, the members of the newly formed squad went to their respective rooms for the day along with the Kiges of the 2 other villages. Naruto and Jiraiya were already gone from the room, as they had now a very important assignment ahead of them. In 2 days' time, they would have to meet the squad for team practices. Right now, the 2 Toad summoners were at the top of the Hokage building and Naruto was practically trembling in anticipation as he didn't know what to expect now. He was even more unsettled by the fact that Kyuubi hasn't uttered a single word after hearing that Naruto would be receiving all of its chakra. The Chunin had already access to 3 taels worth of power without succumbing to the chakra's malice. Jiraiya, for his turn, wasn't facing his student now as in mere moments, there would be no secret left to tell the kid. Frankly, he was dreading the outcome, but he realized it was a necessity. The Yondaime meant for Naruto to use it after all. Without turning to meet his student's questioning gaze, Jiraiya waited for a while, before both of them vanished in thin air. Naruto didn't have the time to wonder what was going on, before he vanished as well. When he opened his eyes once more, he saw that they were in a different landscape. Jiraiya was there as well as Gamabunta, Gamakichi and 2 small toads in front of him. He looked around for a while, trying to find out where he was. "Welcome Naruto-chan." To Mount Myaboku Naruto was busy trying to locate the voice, before focusing on the small toad with the black cape. "My name is Fugasaku." "Wait, how did I get here and why I'm here?" This time, Jiraiya explained, unless he wanted Naruto to know that something was wrong in his behavior. "When you signed the contract, you set up a link with the toads. Just like we can summon them, they could also summon us to their world. And as to why you're here, Fugasaku-sama here has prepared a special room for you to have access to the other half of the fox's chakra." As he expected, the Chunin showed him a confused face at the mention of the word half. He was counting on that as he explained the entire story in pieces. When the Yondaime Hokage defeated the Kyuubi no Yoko, he sealed only half of the fox's chakra in you. He sealed the other half inside a seal with the help of the toads to be later given to you when you're ready. Jiraiya was silently hoping that the kid wouldn't ask questions about the Yondaime, but rather about the current course of action. Naruto spent some time processing the information, before he turned to see Jiraiya doing some hand seals before a scroll came out of his throat. He turned to Fugasaku, seeing as Jiraiya was busy with something. "So how am I supposed to release the other half? Certainly it can't be as easy as simply ripping the seal from the fox's cage." The small toad grimly nodded. "All will be explained in time, but I can assure you it won't be easy. Put it simply, it will be required of you to face the fox and defeat it in battle." A silence soon ruled the conversation as Jiraiya was busy doing some changes to what appeared to be a large seal being held by a strange-looking toad. The prospect of facing the beast inside of him was too much for Naruto to process now. He was looking down questioning about the slight possibility of him being able to defeat the strongest tailed beast when Jiraiya came and placed a soothing hand on his shoulder. Naruto immediately looked at Jiraiya's face, wondering what the man had to say. "This is something that you must do, Naruto. Normally, I wouldn't put you through this now, but time sadly was taken from you. Without it, you won't have what it takes against Akatsuki." The Chunin processed it all as he looked at Jiraiya's steeled expression. This was something left to him by the Yondaime Hokage, the man Naruto considered his idol. There was no way in hell he would back down from this. He believed himself strong enough to land a couple of significant blows to the fox. If he didn't try, then all the battles, all the training he did to be prepared would be for nothing. He saw in all their eyes that in order for the procedure to start, he would need to at least show his intention to go through with it. If not, then he would be killed for sure and the fox would take the opportunity to try and release itself from Naruto's body. "Okay, let's go then." They all nodded with a smile, before Jiraiya ushered Naruto to the seal he was working on just seconds ago. "First, you need to place your hand on the square in the middle of the seal. Please do so, focusing your chakra and the seal will do the rest." Naruto nodded at the Sannin, before his fingers started glowing with blue energy. He walked towards the seal in great anticipation as he didn't know what would happen once he touched the seal. His heart started beating faster, but his resolve pushed him to go all the way. As soon as he felt the touch, he looked at the seal expecting some sort of bright energy coming from the seal and the fox appearing in front of him. When nothing happened, he looked around to see if he did anything wrong, earning a smile from Jiraiya. "Easy there kiddo, you have just completed the first phase of the procedure. The seal in front of you is the key meant to open the gate. Now open your mouth as wide as possible. The Chunin looked at the man for a while, wondering why the hell he needed to do that, but complied. No sooner his mouth was wide open, the toad that carried the seal took the opportunity and jumped right in, surprising the Chunin as he looked at Jiraiya and everyone in shock. It was Fugasaku who jumped and kicked the toad's butt, forcing it down Naruto's throat. Jiraiya smirked as he saw Naruto coughing uncontrollably on the ground, in a pathetic attempt to force air inside his lungs. He remembered himself in the same position right after Minato performed the sealing ritual that sealed the fox inside Naruto. With Naruto now standing up and wiping the drool from his mouth, he looked at Jiraiya waiting for phase 2. What is the next phase? Now, like Fugasaku-sama here explained, you'll have to face the fox head on. Naruto nodded as he followed the group towards the place where Naruto would be facing the fox. Jiraiya, in the meantime, began to explain what Naruto had to do. When you open the gates, the fox will come at you wanting nothing but to kill you. Aside from defeating the fox, you must capture the fox's chakra. As soon as the fight starts, you'll know what you have to do. A bit of warning, though, just like you can capture its chakra, the fox can also capture your own. If that happens, you're finished. Naruto nodded and Jiraiya could see a fierce resolve in the kid's face, even though he knew that Naruto was worried about his odds. It was something all Jinchuriki went through, though. In order to truly master the beast's chakra, the Jinchuriki must face the beast and literally steal it. Just in case I fail, is there anything that can keep the fox from getting free? Jiraiya looked at the Chunin, surprised that Naruto actually voiced his concern over his odds. Not that we expect you to, but steps have been made just in case. The room we are about to enter is a special chamber filled with seals that are able to keep the fox inside. The Chunin just nodded without uttering more words, which still frightened the Sannin a bit. For someone who used to be so loud and obnoxious, seeing Naruto behaving like this still unnerved the Sannin. He blamed everyone for this, but above all, he blamed himself for not protecting Naruto enough, forcing the kid to take all matters on himself. Perhaps if he had told the truth back when the timing was right and taken Naruto under his wing, then he wouldn't be this way now. There was a reason that Konoha no longer forced too many responsibilities in one so young. The inexperienced mind just couldn't cope with the pressure. He could see in Naruto's eyes as they walked, that the kid had taken the fox's burden all to himself, and it saddened the man that he couldn't do anything to aid Naruto against the fox. After 5 minutes walking, the group stopped in front of what looked like a warehouse. The door opened and Jiraiya stopped Naruto before he could enter. Sadly, I can only show you the door, Naruto, it's you that must walk through it. The boy nodded with a smile as he understood. He walked inside the structure, before he saw the door closing. As soon as he heard the noise of the door closing, the walls started to glow as the seals were being drawn right in front of him. The entire procedure took 1 minute, before he saw that the seal arrays were drawn around a square that was located in the middle of the room. He jumped from his position and landed inside the square, before seating in lotus position and closing his eyes. In doing so, he didn't notice that the room being engulfed in a bright white light as he went straight to the room where the fox was being held. At the fox's cage . When Naruto opened his eyes once more, he was standing in front of the fox's cage and looking straight at the creature's eyes as the demon stared at him as well. Above all things passing in Naruto's mind, was to hear what the fox thought of all this. The deal was that in exchange for using the fox's chakra, Naruto allowed access to the outside world. That meant that the Kyuubi now shared his ability to hear and see the outside world. No doubt you heard everything that happened until I came here. I want to hear your side in this. Naruto asked, but the fox remained silent, but the fox didn't avert the stare. Pathetic meatbag, I care very little about your human problems. In my opinion, you're weak and you forever will be without my help, of course. Despite the dire situation, Naruto couldn't help but frown at the beast's comment. He was already thinking of ways to beat the living crap out of the fur ball for the comment. Should you decide to go through with this little plan of yours and release me, I guarantee you that I'll show you how pathetic you really are. Not to mention that in doing so, you'll be condemning the entire world to hell. This place your body is right now won't be able to hold me in, as I'll be prepared for when I escape. Naruto looked at the fox in front of him, this time with narrowed eyes. He was having doubts about this, but now the game was on. It was stupid of me to come here and try to reach a settlement with you bastard kitsune. Let's deal with this shit. Naruto marched towards the cage and lifted the seal tag that kept it locked. In front of him was a strange symbol that appeared to be some kind of lock. He figured that the key he received earlier was to open this strange device. After activating it, he saw the same lock structure being drawn in his hand, before he placed his hand on the lock and turning it. In little more than 5 seconds, the lock was no more and the fox slammed the prison bars, violently opening the gates, while trying to kill Naruto right there. The Chunin had already jumped backwards by the time the lock was opened and saw with surprise that next to the fox a shimmered image appeared. Looking to his right, Naruto saw in surprise that he had a similar one as well. A bit of warning, though, just like you can capture its chakra, the fox can also capture your own. As he remembered Jiraya's words, he now connected the dots that this appearance represents the fox's chakra he was supposed to steal. He could see the fox smirking at him, probably believing that he was nothing but a healthy snack for the beast. Suddenly, the creature lunged at its host, attacking Naruto head-on with its claw. Naruto evaded the attack and started to run on top of Kyuubi's arm, while at the same time picking up his metal staff and twirling it. He dodged Kyuubi's other hand trying to dismiss Naruto just like a human being sending a fly away from his body. Naruto soon reached the fox's head and aimed a powerful strike towards the fox's right eye, hitting it. The fox roared in pain, since the staff was layered with wind chakra. Naruto immediately went towards the energy he needed to capture and started the process of sucking the fox's chakra. He only had time for a little bit, before having to sever the link as one of the fox's tails was about to hit him. Naruto had to force a majority of wind chakra towards stopping the force of each tail while evading them to his best ability. Naruto took advantage of the distance and made a long series of hand seals, before molding a large quantity of chakra for this technique. Against the Kyuubi, Naruto couldn't afford to focus on anything but destructive techniques. Fuuten Suresu no Tatsumaki, wind release, slicing tornado technique. In front of Naruto, the powerful beast of wind charged against the Kyuubi, before slamming it full force. The Kyuubi, though, merely stood its ground while battling against the powerful wind technique. It roared in defiance, before releasing the hurricane from his presence, but not without a cost. Naruto's technique was not only strong, but filled with wind chakra. Naruto could see a great number of deep cuts in Kyuubi's fur that must have hurt like a bitch. He didn't have time to smirk at the fox's misfortune as the beast opened his mouth and threw a Baiju Dama straight at the Chunin, who looked at it in surprise. The violent energy rocked the cage. Naruto, however, appeared a few inches away from the blast, summoning a last-minute cage Bunshine to replace himself. He just didn't have any defensive technique in his arsenal strong enough for that, which frightened him a little. It seems the fox is indeed trying to kill me. I can't allow him time to prepare that technique. Naruto had to run quickly as the fox was preparing another Baiju Dama. He used his mastery in wind to increase his speed until he appeared right beneath the fox's claw. Since the creature was busy concentrating on the energy, it wasn't aware of Naruto's presence, allowing Naruto to attack by slicing the fox's paw with a concentrated wind sword. The fox screamed in pain and fell on the ground. Naruto immediately summoned a cage Bunshine and jumped together while forming a considerable Udama Rasengan. The fox looked up and snarled at the kid who insinuated he could hurt the almighty Kyuubi no Yoko. The energy formed by the Rasengan was 4 meters wide in diameter as Naruto dived towards the fox. Kyuubi used all its tails to block the powerful ball of energy. Naruto tried to create some distance and tried evading the fox's tails, but one did hit him and send him flying. Since the place was filled with water, it smoothed his fall. Quickly summoning 3 cage Bunshine, all 4 of them began a large series of hand seals, before the water on the ground started to stir. Suten Sweryu Udan no Jutsu, water release, water dragon projectile technique. 4 water dragons charged at Kyuubi, who wasn't able to parry the attacks, roaring in rage as each dragon did its damage on the fox's fur. Naruto looked at the creature from his position, wondering how the hell he will defeat the fox if every technique he threw at the Kyuubi, his body would heal instantly. It's not like his chakra capacity was endless here. The Chunin was surprised as hell when the fox managed to gather energy inside its mouth faster than before and threw it at Naruto. The energy was approaching the Chunin fast and the shinobi didn't have the time to dodge or even summon a cage Bunshine to help him escape. Suddenly, something appeared in front of Naruto that surprised both him and the Kyuubi. Kanji started being written in thin air, forming a strange structure. The Baiju Dama slammed at the strange seal structure, before being sucked inside and disappearing. The energy appeared far from his position, before blasting the area far from Naruto. When Naruto turned to see what happened, he was shocked as hell to see none other than the Yondaime Hokage there with his arms stretched. Yondaime. What are you doing here? The man in question smirked at the younger blonde. Now is not the time to talk, Naruto. You have a mission at stake here. The Chunin kept looking at the man he referred to as his idol in continued surprise. Surely, he wasn't seeing things, because the fox was now angry, well angrier than before. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the sudden appearance, but turned to the beast he was facing. He had a great number of questions and he was getting answers after this mess was fixed. Looking at the beast, he charged at the beast while dodging its tails, before standing right in front of the fox, while finishing a long series of hand seals. Fuutanatsugai, wind release, pressure damage technique. The huge dome of wind charged from all directions, hitting the fox full force, once more earning a mighty roar in defiance. The wind chakra caused new slashes in the fox's fur, forming holes all over the place as if Naruto was yanking it. Once more, Naruto was surprised when a good number of chains came from the ground and trapped the fox in place. Naruto didn't understand a thing as now next to the Yondaime Hokage, was a long red-haired very beautiful woman. The chakra chains came from her back and both of them were smiling at Naruto. Now, more questions appeared in Naruto's mind. He presumed that since the Yondaime performed the Kyuubi sealing inside of him that the man would be here, but who was this woman and why could he sense something else radiating from these two? He turned to the fox and noticed that its attention wasn't focused on him, but on the two new presences behind Naruto. Taking advantage of the situation, Naruto grabbed the fox's energy and started the stealing process. He could see the red malevolent substance leaving the fox and reaching his body, before engulfing his body. His body started trembling in rage as he could feel the same evil aura as he felt when he used the fox's chakra for the first time. Despite it all, he didn't stop the procedure. He didn't know what the hell was going on, but he was damned if he didn't take advantage of this opportunity. He could hear screams of pain. He could see evil in its pure form, caused by the amount of hatred gathered by the humans. When the process was finished, Naruto released its hold on the fox's chakra, but he was still trembling at the level of hatred he was feeling right now. This time, he was relieving all his troubled life before becoming a Genin. The fox was weakened on the ground and Minato took the opportunity to reseal the beast inside, while Kushina went to help Naruto get over. She kneeled right in front of him and placed a comforting hand on his shoulder, forcing Naruto to look up. His eyes were black and red. Who are you? Kushina smiled at Naruto. I'm your mother, Naruto Uzumaki Kushina. In the ninja world, just claiming to be someone meant nothing. However, just looking at the woman's smile was enough for Naruto's eyes to go back to its previous color. Just something Naruto saw in this woman made him believe she was telling the truth. Since the malevolent chakra was now stored in Naruto, the last part consisted in him incorporating it to his own system, thus literally cleansing it. Looking at the woman that appeared to be his mother, Naruto started focusing on his chakra. He needed to control. He screamed in fury, not allowing it to control him, before a golden energy appeared surrounding his body. The pain was gone as he looked at this new transformation with nothing but curiosity. The young blonde noticed that the Yondaime Hokage was done trapping the fox once more and appeared next to the red-haired woman. We are very proud of you, Naruto. No wonder, you're my son. Minato showed a smile similar to Naruto's own when he was genuinely happy with something. The Chunin kept looking at the two in front of him, still having trouble swallowing the truth. The golden energy was already gone as he started walking slowly towards them while trying to call them by their names, by their relation towards him. It was so surreal, meeting them after close to 16 years. Each step solidified the notion that he wanted to believe that he had finally met his parents. Each step he realized that he had parents who loved him and that he wasn't abandoned because of his status as a Jinchuriki. When he stopped and stared at his parents, every emotion that he repelled, every tear he tried so hard not to fall, every force he had in not crying was released right there as he enveloped his parents in a long and hard embrace, while releasing close to 15 years worth of tears. Minato and Kushina eagerly returned the embrace, both crying as well as this was the first time the Namikazes got to hug each other in 16 years. The family was reunited once more and Naruto wanted to savor each second of this. Outside Naruto's mindscape . The place Naruto was in had a special room where Jiraiya and Fugasaku were there watching the Chunin since the beginning. They were surprised and rather frightened when the red energy surrounded Naruto. The tails were appearing one after another and by the third tail, Jiraiya was convinced that something went terribly wrong and with a heavy sigh, was already preparing the adjacent seals inside the room for when the fox took full control over Naruto's body. It was only due to Fugasaku's insistence that Jiraiya waited to use the seals when the fourth tail appeared. When the tails were slowly receding, both Jiraiya and Fugasaku realized that both were holding their breath without realizing it. Now both were smiling as the kid had done it, apparently. Inside Naruto's mindscape . The Namikazes were now seating inside a blank room, conversing about Naruto's life as well as what really happened at the time of the Fox's attack on Konoha. Naruto was shocked to know that the attack wasn't random, but planned by a man wearing an orange mask with swirling design. He was even more surprised when he asked his father about a similar one that prevented him from taking Sasuke to Konoha. Naruto now believed that this man was the real leader of the organization after him and already made a mental note to report his findings to the Alliance when he came back. Right now, Naruto's entire attention was focused on the picture in front of him. His parents were looking at him with a bright smile on their faces. He admitted not having that much experience in being a part of a family. He could see the similarities between his life and how his parents behaved. His mother clearly was the one he took his personality from, and his appearance mirrored his father almost completely. A single tear escaped his eye as he smiled at them. This picture would be forever recorded in his mind. "What's wrong, sweetie?" asked Kushina before Naruto showed a smile. "It's nothing, I'm just happy to have had the chance to meet you too." Both Minato and Kushina smiled. "Ever since I was born, I was on my own trying to survive. People sent me looks all the time, vendors overpriced everything I wanted to buy, being food, clothes and ninja supplies. Sandaime Oji-chan tried his best to take care of me, but he had an entire village to run. Despite it all, not once was I told of the truth of what I am or who my parents were. I didn't know if I was abandoned by you guys." Both Kushina and Minato knew about all this, having been inside of the seal, sharing their child's pain. "But now that I had the chance to meet you too, it's been a dream of mine, and for that I thank you all for what you did." Looking at Naruto, both his parents could see that their son was happy. They were prepared to face his pent-up anger if they had to. Naruto needed to master the Fox's chakra. Minato could only wonder how Naruto will behave when he confronts Jiraiya after knowing that the man is his godfather. "Now Naruto-kun, I can see you have a girlfriend, huh? Can we expect some grandchildren soon?" Naruto looked at his mother with a nervous smile on his face. "Ka-chan, I don't think I'm ready for having a baby, although it would be so nice to have one. I don't know about you, Agao-chan, though." Both parents laughed at their kid's embarrassment. Minato, being the Hokage, knew little about his daughter-in-law. He remembered her as a fresh out of the academy genin and the woman from Naruto's memories. Even so, he could see how his son brightened when he spoke about Yugao to Kushina. He started to pay attention as the boy was still talking about her. "Yugao-chan and I have been together for 2 years now, but with the world in this state, having a child now would only place him or her in the middle of this mess. Not to mention that I'm completely alien to the prospect of being a parent." Minato and Kushina actually smirked at the last part. Kushina, though, decided to comment on something rather funny. "Naruto-kun, no parent is ever going to be prepared. I remember when I announced to your father that I was pregnant. He just kept repeating the phrase 'I'm going to be a father' for half an hour." Minato actually frowned at the revelation, earning a warm laughter from their son. Plus, with him gone constantly either in missions or handling the village, he didn't have the time to be around much to help me during the pregnancy. In choosing not to have a child during wartime, you have showed us a very mature decision, typical of any parent, and for that I'm really proud of the man you became, Naruto-kun." Naruto nodded in appreciation, before being surprised that the images of his parents began to vanish a little bit. Both Minato and Kushina were already aware of this, as they had to use the remaining chakra they had inside the seal to aid Naruto against the fox. Minato placed a comforting hand on Kushina's shoulder and nodded at her with a smile on his face. He then turned to Naruto. "I believe our presence here is at an end, Naruto. In aiding you against the fox, we have used all our stored chakra." Naruto looked like he was about to protest and even swallowed hard. "I understand, and thank you both for ever being there for me, even if I only knew about this now." His parents shared their son's humor. "I'll always cherish this memory of us fighting together as a family." Naruto couldn't express his feeling in words anymore and gathered Minato and Kushina for a family hug, trying to take as much time as possible feeling the warmth of their embrace. "I love you all, and I'll make you too proud of me, of that I swear." "We are already proud of you, Naruto-kun. One last thing, though, before we go." Naruto looked at his father in the eyes. "Locate our house in Konoha. Talk to Jiraiya-sensei, he knows where the house is. He is your godfather after all." Naruto nodded at them, before seeing their image disappear for good and a lone tear escaping his mother's eyes that fell on the water. When Naruto realized, he was back inside the cage room, giving his back to the fox he had just fought against. From the fox's appearance, it was clear that it has seen better days. The Kyuubi was almost out of breath and his fur was practically falling from his body. How do you feel now that you've practically stolen my chakra against my will, brat? If it wasn't for your parents helping you, I'd be eating your bones right now. Naruto's back was still turned to the fox, before he turned with a smile on his face. When I had access to your chakra, I could feel the amount of hatred you carry with yourself all this time, fox. I now understand the reason behind your behavior. Kyuubi's eyes were focused on his jailer as Naruto spoke, still with a smile on his face. I don't know how, but I swear to you that I will do everything I can to rid you of your hatred. It is my compromise to you. The fox narrowed his eyes at the Chunin, before sneering at him. Pathetic, you couldn't even cure Sasuke, let alone attempt to tamper with my hatred. You've known me long enough to realize one important aspect about me. Naruto vanished from his position, before appearing right in front of Kyuubi's eyes. I will never give up. Naruto smiled once more, before leaving the place. As he walked away, he didn't know that the fox was watching his back, questioning if the kid's words had merit or was just like everyone else before him. Outside his mindscape . When Naruto opened his eyes, he was back inside the room at Mount Myaboku. So much has happened in such a short time that he actually felt kind of dizzy. He fought the Kyuubi no Yoko with his strongest techniques, he met his parents who happened to aid him against the fox, he learned that they were indeed their parents and the real truth behind the Kyuubi's attack. Above all, he remembered one specific piece of information that made him slightly mad. The door behind him opened and Jiraiya walked through it, apparently congratulating Naruto for being able to confront the fox and complete the necessary procedure. Congrats Gaki, now we can go back to Konoha. Your new team is waiting for you. Jiraiya was a little taken aback when Naruto stared at him with apathy. Naruto, then, got up from his seating position. Thanks a lot, Godfather. The last word was spoken with such spite that to Jiraiya it felt like he received a jab far stronger than Tsunade's. The perverted Sannin was frozen in place, while Naruto was walking out of the room, not even bothering to hear the explanation of why the man didn't bother to mention the truth during their training trip. It happened just like he feared it would. He knew Minato to be a genius and he knew that somehow he would have left something inside the seal that allowed him to reach to his son. The last thing he wanted right now was to deal with this mess. Well, aside from the fox taking over, that is. He had agreed with Tsunade that the timing just wasn't appropriate to reveal the truth to Naruto, especially since Iwagakure had declined the alliance. Marching outside the room, he found Naruto waiting just outside. It was now needed of him to talk to the Gaki and try to absorb his anger somewhat. Naruto. Jiraiya tried to talk, but Naruto interrupted. I'm not looking forward to any sort of explanation here. I'm not mad only at you for not speaking the truth, but Sandaime, Tsunade and even Kakashi-sensei as well. They all knew and no one even bothered to tell me about it. Jiraiya was looking down at this point. My parents did the impossible by sealing a bit of their chakra inside the seal so that they could talk to me. You all, on the other hand, were in my life since I was born and didn't bother to tell me, or even give any indication. As a shinobi of the village, I understand why none of you told me. The Sannin looked up in hope, but Naruto wasn't finished. As a human being, however, I find myself wondering how I'll ever forgive all of you for keeping me away from the truth all this time. Jiraiya just didn't have words right now. It was inevitable that Naruto would react like this. How the hell do we get out of this place? Naruto screamed, looking for Fugasaku to take him to Konoha. With Sasuke . After taking a fair amount of time adapting his skills to the main Jinkaiyu Sharingan, Sasuke marched towards Tobi demanding to review Itachi's location. The leader was all too happy to oblige, giving him everything Sasuke needed to find Itachi. The following match fit right in his plans as Itachi was a wild card in his organization. Tobi knew that Itachi wouldn't do the organization's bidding for long. Quite frankly, Tobi much preferred someone to whom he could easily manipulate to do his personal bidding. Sasuke would be the vessel of his will. As he saw the Uchiha leaving the area, Tobi couldn't help but smirk behind his mask, before vanishing in thin air. Chapter 21, The Truths. Tsunade, the Raikage and Nara Shikaku were busy watching the members of the formed alliance as they went through specific drills meant to familiarize each other as a team. Battle team formations, collaboration jutsu, leadership skills, these and more were slowly being formed under the leadership of the Raikage, who was appointed the general of the alliance. The three formed teams will battle S-ranked opponents, so aside from completing the drills, it will be up to Shikaku and the Raikage to best see which team will be up against which member of the Akatsuki organization. The material gathered by the villages was extensive and should very well aid them. Tsunade, the God Hokage, was quiet as she watched the teams, though her focus was only on one person. Ever since Jiraiya arrived with Naruto from the land of toads, she could see in his face that something was wrong with Naruto. Jiraiya told her what happened and told her about Naruto's cold shoulder after waking up from beating the fox. She could only guess that the kid was angry with those who deliberately kept the information about his parents from him all this time. In this group, was herself, the Sandaime Hokage and Hatake Kakashi. Because of the events right now, Tsunade hadn't so far found a proper time to talk to him about it. She knew that it would take some time to convince him of the reason behind it all. Tsunade briefly contemplated talking to Yuigao about it. The Hokage knew from Shizune that Yuigao had a long talk with him about the subject. Yuigao was shocked about the news that Naruto was the Yondaime's son. Tsunade heard that Yuigao apologized to Naruto about not figuring it out sooner. According to Shizune, Naruto thought nothing of it, saying that he wouldn't even consider blaming Yuigao for something she didn't know as well. However, the fact remained that he did blame those who did know about it and didn't tell him about it. Truth be told, Naruto was supposed to be informed about it when he received the promotion to Chunin, but a lot of events led her to postpone what would clearly be a sensitive topic. With a resolved mind, after today's training, she would call Naruto, Kakashi and Jiraiya to put some closure into this situation that the Sandaime Hokage started. As she witnessed the power and anger behind Naruto's attacks, especially when pitted against Jiraiya or Kakashi, she feared that Naruto wouldn't function correctly in the future assignment without it. Taking the trouble aside, Tsunade couldn't help but smile at how much more powerful and faster Naruto was now due to receiving the Kyuubi's power. Aside from Kakashi, due to the Sharingan, only the Raikage and the Sannin managed to follow Naruto's speed. The Raikage was deeply impressed to see the second coming of the Yellow Flash. The Yondaime Hokage was perhaps the only one that was faster than the Raikage, and now the Kyuubi Jinchuriki would take over the mantle, it appeared. In a sense, the Raikage was thrilled to see that the Akatsuki will have a fierce competition ahead against these selected shinobi. The training progressed smoothly until the sun began its descent. The Kages followed Tsunade to her office, while the shinobi from Kumo and Suna left to their hotels. Jiraiya, Guy and Kakashi knew better than to stay close to Naruto now if today's training was any indication. With Guy's exception, since he considered Naruto's fierce training as a result of his youthfulness, Jiraiya and Kakashi knew the reason behind Naruto's behavior. Jiraiya had already heard bits and pieces of it and told Kakashi about it. With that in mind, both of them departed, leaving the Kyuubi Jinchuriki alone to ponder on his thoughts. The sky was slowly but surely changing its color from the bright blue to a melancholic orange. Naruto's eyes lost their focus as he surveyed the destroyed field, courtesy of his anger. To this day, the people he trusted the most in his life had withheld the truth about his past. He only became aware of his Jinchuriki status when he was 12, and that was because the traitor Mizuki didn't care if he went against the Hokage's orders. He wondered about if the circumstances were different that day. What if he went against Mizuki from the beginning? Would the Sandaime tell him about the Kyuubi? Walking a little towards the small river, Naruto looked at his reflection in the water and was surprised to see the image of the fox smirking at him. He sighed and closed his eyes. Inside Naruto's mindscape . Looking at the gates that held the creature responsible for the destruction of the village, Naruto released a sigh once more. You wish to speak to me? The haunting laughter echoed for a while, before the gigantic beast appeared for its jailer. I can feel your anger towards those who wronged you in the past, and I applaud how you thrashed your sensei for withholding this precious information from you. Naruto just stared at the creature, which was savoring every bit of his negative thoughts, as if it was the fox's meal of the day. He knew that the fox's power was directly linked to the human's negative emotions. Truth be told, though, Naruto didn't simply believe himself capable of letting go of it all without confronting the ones responsible about what they did. Before the quest to plunge the Kyuubi out of its hatred, Naruto must understand the source of its power. All the bad events in the world culminated in the fox being as powerful as it was now. For Naruto to end this cycle, he must find a way to break it and start a new one. I won't lie and say I'm not angry at them for keeping the information of my parents from me. I will demand every bit of explanation possible, but I will not let my anger get past that. The fox kept looking at the Jinchuriki. I told you before that I managed to feel your chakra. I could feel the amount of hatred coming from it, and I understood the source. Actions moved by negative emotions like vengeance, treason, murder. I won't be moved by my anger, no matter how strong you make it out to be. The Kyuubi snarled at his jailer, but Naruto didn't waste more time inside his mindscape. When he opened his eyes, it was already night time and he allowed himself some ramen time. It wouldn't do him any good to keep his stomach waiting. With Sasuke . Every step Sasuke took towards the direction Toby has supplied him with, his heart skipped a beat. Ever since that fateful day, when Itachi annihilated the entire Uchiha clan with the exception of Sasuke, the young Uchiha had prepared for this meeting. Until a week ago, Sasuke wanted nothing but to kill Itachi for the sins he had committed against their family. Now as he understood the truth behind the events, Sasuke's revenge was now shifted to another target. His ire was now pointed to those who forced Itachi's hand into killing their family. Konoha had taken everything from him. And worst of all was that Sasuke had spent his entire life seeing the peace inside the village walls. He saw people smiling and going on with their lives. All the laughter he heard was nothing but torture for the young Uchiha. To Sasuke, they were laughing at the Uchiha clan, laughing at the sacrifice made by his brother. It only made Sasuke even angrier when he remembered the Sandaime Hokage smiling at him from time to time. He was the one who ordered Itachi, and yet, the old fossil had the nerve to show a happy face to Sasuke as if he didn't have anything to do with it. Sure, Sasuke knew what was at stake. According to Toby, the clan was about to make a move against the village in retaliation for the village supposedly diminishing the prestige and power once held by one of the founding clans. Because of this, the elders of Konoha believed that one from the inside of the clan would be perfect to cut the roots of the problem before it happened. Thus, Itachi was used for the village's benefit. In the end, he was declared an S-ranked missing nin and branded as one of the worst criminals by doing what the village wanted from him. Just by thinking about it, Sasuke's blood began to boil. His arms began to tremble as he remembered all that had happened so far in his life. It was all a lie from the beginning, he reasoned. After a few minutes, the trembling stopped as Sasuke calmed down somewhat. He would find his brother and together they would make Konoha pay for what they did. As he entered inside the old castle that was used by the Uchiha clan in the past, Sasuke smirked as he would see his brother again, not as his enemy but an ally once more. Reclining on a stone throne located in a room inside the castle, Itachi had his eyes closed as he sensed Sasuke's chakra presence enter the compound. Today was the day his destiny would be fulfilled. Itachi opened his eyes just as he heard footsteps echoing in the hall that led to the room he was in. Itachi had a detached expression and even placed one hand on his chin as if he was bored from being here. In seconds, the Uchiha brothers stared at one another quietly as Itachi was busy contemplating the subtle changes in Sasuke's behavior. He knew that Madara told Sasuke the truth about the day he slaughtered the Uchiha clan. It was the reason that Sasuke was here in the first place. Itachi made it this way so that Sasuke could avenge his clan and kill Itachi, but instead Itachi couldn't sense any hatred coming from his younger brother. Tell me Sasuke, what is your Sharingan showing you? Still to this day, you fail to fulfill the one thing I told you to do. You lack hatred and without it, you will never defeat me. Despite knowing the truth about it, Sasuke couldn't help but flinch at those words that still haunted his mind. Every time Itachi used the Mangenkyu on him, the same words were repeated over and over. I didn't come here to kill you, Itachi. The older brother remained impassive as he listened. Madara told me the truth about what happened and I no longer bear any ill will towards you for what you did. They forced you into doing this and they will pay for what they did. I came here to talk to you about joining forces and killing the real ones responsible for the death of the Uchiha clan. Itachi still remained impassive as he now understood the small shift in his brother's mindset. Sasuke now wanted to kill Konoha and not him. I see that Madara has told you what happened that day, however he didn't tell you one crucial aspect behind the event. How could he since he wasn't in my head to understand it? Sasuke immediately tensed at the words. What are you talking about? Sure, Konoha felt that the Uchiha clan was about to start a civil war and yes I was chosen to end it before the problems escalated to a full-out battle that could cost the village greatly. However what Madara didn't explain to you was that when confronted with different ideas to resolve the issue, it was I who came up with a solution and even volunteered for it. Itachi was still stoic as he saw Sasuke's eyes bulge at the recent revelations. Itachi could very well see the ramifications of his declaration and stood there waiting for Sasuke to snap. Itachi could not control what Madara spoke to Sasuke, but he could very well twist and bend the truth a bit to make sure the events occurred to his liking. When Sasuke's Sharingan activated, Itachi allowed a brief sigh in dismay at how easy manipulating Sasuke was. You asked me what my Sharingan showed me, Itachi. It showed me your death. I'll avenge the clan right here. With impressive speeds, Sasuke unleashed his sword and immediately charged Itachi, while casting a subtle disorienting genjutsu. Itachi, though, snorted at the amateur tactic and parried the sword with a kunai. Itachi had a look of surprise on his face, though, when a different sword pierced his stomach. He looked at the Sasuke he was battling and saw his brother smirking, before it transformed into a bunch of white snakes. For a moment, Sasuke stood behind Itachi with his sword inside Itachi. He allowed a moment of silence, wondering if it was that easy to kill his brother when Sasuke realized that something was terribly wrong with this image. For one, he didn't remember if Itachi ever got up from the throne where he was seating. It took you a while, Sasuke. I already told you, brother, without hatred, you cannot defeat me. You do not have the Mangenkaiu Sharingan. This time Itachi did get up as the other image faded from view. Sasuke saw red. I don't need the Mangenkaiu to beat you, Itachi. I know about the secret behind the Mangenkaiu. I know about the cost of being blind just to be able to control the Kyuubi. As usual, Itachi remained his usual facade, which infuriated Sasuke. Yes, indeed, the Mangenkaiu does come with a price. However, there is one way out of it, Sasuke. You see, there is another level to the Mangenkaiu that I bet you knew nothing about. It's called Eternal Mangenkaiu Sharingan, and it consists of merging a set of Sharingan eyes with the Mangenkaiu, thus ridding the curse. Sasuke was immediately startled when he saw a sudden look of madness and laughter from his brother. Now I'll take your eyes, foolish little brother, and we'll be unstoppable. Itachi activated the Mangenkaiu and vanished before appearing in front of the surprised Sasuke and sending his flying to the stone pillar behind them. Upon contact, Sasuke spit blood from his mouth as Itachi began to extract the right eye from Sasuke's sockets. One down. Sasuke, though, screamed at his brother and used the power of the curse seal to force Itachi away from him. Itachi did back off from Sasuke as he looked at the influence of the curse seal, courtesy of Orochimaru. That alone won't stop me from getting what I want, Sasuke. Eventually, you'll succumb and I will have your eyes. Sasuke now looked at his brother without one shred of doubt in his mind. I will kill you for good, Itachi, my hatred will make that a reality. Itachi smirked at the answer. Sasuke was already going through hand signs for a fire technique. We shall see, Itachi said as he mirrored Sasuke's hand seals and started the sequence as well. In Konoha . Unaware of the fight happening between the Uchiha, Naruto was heading straight to the Hokage's office as he was summoned to attend a meeting there in 10 minutes. The Anbu that gave him the message was rather vague in stating the subject, merely stating that the Hokage wished to discuss personal subjects with him. Naruto snorted, though. There was only one sensitive subject in his mind, and that was why he was kept from the truth. No, it was worse than that, he reasoned. He found out the hard way about the truth, because no one had told him about it. Mizuki told him he was the Jinchuriki for his own selfish reasons. As he entered the Hokage's administrative building and climbed the stairs towards the office, he wondered how the conversation would go. With Sasuke . The extinct compound of the Uchiha clan became alive as the gigantic fireballs clashed against each other. As far as fire manipulation, it was clear that both brothers were equally matched. Itachi conceded to his little brother that he had advanced a lot as far as fire ninjutsu was involved. However, he wasn't kidding when he said that the Mangenkaiu Sharingan was the key to winning the fight. While continuing with the fireball technique, Itachi morphed his eyes into the Mangenkaiu Sharingan and released the deadly black flames of Amaterasu at Sasuke. The young Uchiha was surprised and instantly activated his second-level cursed seal, before placing both wings in front of the black flames to protect himself. Immediately, upon contact with the wings, Sasuke let out a scream of pain as the wings were extensions of his own body. He remembered the lessons from Orochimaru and realized that these flames would consume his body in seconds. He yanked the wings from his back and backed off, while looking at his brother with a snarl. You still believe yourself capable of defeating me, Sasuke? Sasuke snarled and charged at Itachi once more, unleashing small-sized fireballs, forcing Itachi to dodge them, allowing Sasuke to reduce the distance and strike Itachi with his sword. Sasuke's speed had doubled and Itachi wondered if Orochimaru supplied his little brother with something that would enhance one's normal speed. He doubted that Sasuke would move slowly at the beginning just to trick him. However, Itachi was well versed in speeds much faster than this when he was still an Anbu captain in Konoha. He turned just as Sasuke moved in for the last blow and dodged slightly and moved in to stab Sasuke in the stomach. The young Uchiha saw the move and abandoned his course of action, before throwing a bunch of shuriken at Itachi, hoping to stall him. Itachi's body transformed into crows and he appeared behind Sasuke, who also used a replacement technique to escape Itachi. Sasuke immediately went through hand seals, before slamming his hand on the ground. Itachi saw a chain of lightning leave Sasuke's hand and charged him at impressive speeds. Itachi jumped slightly to avoid the lightning technique when he saw a windmill shuriken approaching his position, threatening to slice him in half. The elder Uchiha dodged it before seeing another following it shortly. Using a simple replacement technique with the other windmill shuriken, Itachi then charged Sasuke once more. Both Uchiha began a series of taijutsu blows to each other. On occasion, one would cast a disorienting genjutsu and the other would break it before defending the blow. Eventually, Sasuke and Itachi parried swords in the middle of the room, before backing off slightly. Sasuke took the opportunity and made quick hand signs. Katengur Yuka no Jutsu, Fire Release, Great Dragon Fire Technique. From Sasuke's mouth, a bunch of considerably sized dragon mouth-shaped fireballs charged at Itachi. The elder Uchiha couldn't dodge them all and even one scorched his arm, before continuing its travel towards the ceiling. The dragon mouth-shaped fireballs opened a hole and continued to go up until it reached the atmosphere. Itachi decided to take the fight to the roof and took advantage of the hole created by Sasuke's technique. Once outside, he saw the entire compound surrounded by the ethereal black flames of Amaterasu. The stage was already set for this fight as Itachi saw Sasuke emerging from the hole with the curse seal level 2 without his wings. The Uchiha brothers stared at each other for a while. Both were slightly panting, but for different reasons. Sasuke's chakra was nearing its end. But Itachi was suffering from his disease. Black clouds started forming above their heads, but Itachi thought nothing of it. Thunder began to echo in the clearing, before heavy rain assaulted the area. Sasuke was smiling, though as his plan was completed. There was no way Itachi would be able to dodge it. He went through a long series of hand seals, before lifting his arm up. His hand was coated in lightning energy just as a lightning crossed the sky and headed straight towards Sasuke. Quickly using the power of an actual lightning, Sasuke directed it towards the surprised Itachi as he saw a huge dragon made of lightning roaring at him. Sasuke smirked before unleashing the powerful beast. Raiten Kirin. Itachi had only time to use his both Mangenkyu Sharingan before he was hit dead on as well as the compound that they were standing on. In instance, the compound was reduced to nothing, but rocks scattered. Sasuke got up from within the rocks and looked around to search for Itachi's body. After a couple seconds, Sasuke began to smirk in victory as he managed to exert vengeance for his brother's sins. Sasuke was about to take a seat and rest when he saw a purple light beam erupt from the debris a couple meters in front of Sasuke. His chest began to ache as he saw Itachi getting up. His body was terribly damaged because of the attack. Sasuke saw the purple light beam take shape into a creature Sasuke couldn't quite describe. In one hand there was a shield and in the other was a sword. That was some technique, Sasuke. Who would have thought I had to resort to Susanoo against it? Too bad your chakra is depleted. Itachi soon started walking towards Sasuke. It didn't take 2 seconds for Sasuke to realize that he was as good as done against his brother. Instantly, fear began to rule his thoughts at the possibility of his brother ending his life right here and taking his eyes. Everything he went through, every sin he committed to get stronger would be for nothing as he saw his doom approaching step by step. Sasuke thus tried everything he had at his disposal that didn't need chakra. He threw kunai at his brother, but the shield blocked. He even attached paper bombs to the kunai, but to no effect at all. Itachi just kept walking towards Sasuke. This shield is impenetrable, Sasuke. This is the end for you. Now I shall take your eyes and will be complete. Sasuke started to back off until he stopped at a destroyed wall with the Uchiha symbol as Itachi's hand was inches from his eyes. When Itachi stood in front of Sasuke, the young Uchiha's heart was beating than ever before. When his brother poked his forehead instead just like he did when they were younger, Sasuke looked at Itachi's face shocked to see Itachi smiling at him. The creature's sword descended and struck right on the place Sasuke's curse seal was located. Sasuke thought that he would scream, but the deafening noise he heard wasn't coming from him, but Orochimaru instead. Itachi still maintained the smile as he realized that everything had gone according to his plan. I'm sorry for what I put you through, Sasuke. I hope that in time you can forgive me for everything. Those were Itachi's last words before falling on the ground, dead. Sasuke looked at his brother dead on the ground and wondered what Itachi's last words were. His last actions were meant to rid Sasuke of Orochimaru's influence before collapsing on the ground. Something was wrong in the truths that he was told from both Tobi and Itachi. He didn't know what it was, but he couldn't for the life of him figure it out. For some reason, as he looked at his dead brother, He didn't feel what he expected to feel upon being able to kill his brother. Sasuke couldn't remember the last time he saw Itachi smiling to him like he did just before falling. This Itachi was different from the one that tortured Sasuke every day and every night. Just after taking a soldier pill, he grabbed Itachi's body and vanished from the location using a flame body flicker just as Zetsu emerged from the ground. With Naruto . After entering the room, Naruto saw Jiraiya and Kakashi there as well as Shizune. All four of them were looking at Naruto as he walked inside before closing the door. "You wish to see me, Hokage-sama?" Stealing her resolve after not being called like Naruto usually does, Tsunade nodded. "Yes, Naruto, it has come to our attention, particularly from Jiraiya, that while attaining control from the fox, you managed to contact the images of your parents Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. I thus called you here in order for us to talk about it and to answer any and all questions you see fit to ask from us. Feel free to ask anything you want." Naruto looked at everyone's faces for a while and could tell that the Hokage meant what she was saying. Indeed, the ones in the office knew the most about Naruto's parents. However, Naruto didn't feel at ease. The main reason was that this conversation was occurring only because he snapped with Jiraiya shortly after the confrontation with the fox. This conversation wasn't happening because they wanted to tell him. "First, I wish to know who I'm talking with. Are you the Hokage now or just Senju Tsunade?" The first question was intriguing to the others present, but Tsunade smirked. "If you're worried about questioning my authority or something in that regard, I have stated before you came here that everything discussed in this room is off the record. As for your question, now I am both the Hokage and Senju Tsunade." Naruto nodded and looked at the Sannin for a while. "Off the record," she said. Surely, the shadows hidden in the room weren't there, but the only ones who had the power to prevent anything from happening were in the room. Jiraiya knew more tricks than any to stop a Jinchuriki's power, and Kakashi could use his Sharingan to keep Naruto in check. Despite the current assessment, Naruto swore to himself that he wouldn't give in to the fox's urges, even if right now he was battling against the subtle influences. "First of all, I would like everyone in this room to know how I felt after realizing a couple of things. 4 or 5 years ago, for instance, I was only made aware of my Jinchuriki status because Mizuki-sensei said so minutes after betraying the village. I wondered the entire day if Mizuki didn't do what he did, would someone tell me of the fox inside my gut and the fact that my very father was the one who sealed it inside of me. At the time, Sandaime explained to me that he didn't tell me because he wished for me to have a normal life. Today, though, I realized that it would have been much better if he had told me long before instead of keeping the lie from me. Now, after almost being killed by the fox trying to defeat it and claim its power, I was saved by my mother and my father. Once more, neither of the ones I come to trust in my life told me about it. Because of this, I find myself wondering if my trust was misguided. You claimed to care about me and yet you kept information that was vital for me. They were my family." Everyone remained silent as they listened to the surprisingly eloquent way of speech. None of them were too surprised, though. It seemed that Naruto's impulsive and hyperactive behavior was gone for good. Of course, while they were all proud to see a grown Naruto, none of them were very thrilled to hear that Naruto began to mistrust them. After all, their goal in withholding information from Naruto was meant only for his protection. Naruto. As Hokage, Tsunade was there in Hiruzen's behalf as well. "I won't waste anyone's time here and tell you we understand what you're going through. Indeed, choices were made to keep you from the truth. However, as I'm sure everyone will agree, these choices were made to protect you. As you were well aware, the Yondaime Hokage, while considered a hero in Konoha for his actions in the last war, in Iwagakure and even in other villages, he was considered the opposite. You could imagine the lengths these villages would go to kill you if they were aware that the man they hated with a passion had an offspring. I'm not saying that my predecessor's actions were valid. Sensei believed it to be the best course of action to protect you as much as possible from outside interference." Naruto kept silent hearing, before Jiraiya cleared his throat. "He gave you your mother's name so that no one would know the truth and keep you safe. Okay, I get that Iwagakure could have attacked me and all that, but let me ask you something. What about my mother? What did she do? If I couldn't know about my father, I could at least know about her, right?" This time, Kakashi spoke. "Kushina didn't do anything to other villages, but she was captured by Kumagakure when she was a Jinan. I don't know if she showed you Naruto, but Kushina's chakra was so dense that she could mold it to resemble objects, not to mention that her knowledge in the sealing arts was second to none, since the Uzumaki clan was wiped out. I'm sorry for keeping everything from you, Naruto, and I know I wasn't the best Jounin sensei you could hope for. Naruto didn't say anything to that. Kakashi did help him after Sasuke's fight and started him on the path he was now. I'm not angry about that, Kakashi-sensei. Okay, I wasn't aware that my mother was targeted by Kumo a long time ago. She didn't tell me much. However, I fail to see any reason why I didn't know there was a Uzumaki clan in the past. I loved Sandaime Jiji with all my heart. He cared about me when no one else would, but he could have given me hints about my mother and our clan. This way, I could know about her and about my family that is now dead. Eventually, I would appreciate news about my father, but I would be more than satisfied in knowing about my mother. I only met her inside the Kyuubi's cage and I wished to spend more time with her. I wished to spend more time hugging her, feeling what it meant to have a mother that cared for you more than anything. Naruto was having trouble containing the tears that were threatening to escape from his eyes. Also, the lack of prompt response from the group seemed to be enough for him to realize that they failed in this regard. Would Naruto's life be much easier if he had known about his mother? Without a doubt, it would be. Tsunade sighed for a while and realized that Naruto wasn't searching for a rational explanation here. She approached Naruto and quickly enveloped in a fierce hug. You're right, Naruto, we failed to tell you about your clan. However, you're wrong in assuming that your entire family is no more. Naruto looked at Tsunade's eyes for a while and the woman could see hope in those deep cerulean eyes. Aside from Jiraiya, Kakashi and Shizune were perplexed about the news of another Uzumaki that was still among the living. An interesting fact about the Uzumaki clan is that they were related to the Senju clan, which means that you and I are related. Naruto's eyes were open wide in realization. As Tsunade took a step back to let the kid breathe somewhat, she saw a faint smile on his face. He was looking down for a while, probably wondering about the new information about his family. Author note, I know that Nagato is also an Uzumaki, but his identity is not known yet. It's nice to know that I have family, but still the past happened and cannot be changed. Sarutobi Jiji did manage to take care of me and he still had an entire village to run. I know that it was hard for him to take care of everything on his own. I'm not saying I'm okay with everything, but I suppose it's now impossible to change what happened. I understand also that you all wish to clear everything up and I appreciate it. It will take some time, but at least I have met my parents and saw them together instead of merely hearing stories about it. Now, my father told me about a house that they lived in. He said that my godfather knew where it was. Jiraiya nodded and gave Naruto a scroll. He was saddened, but could feel that Naruto was more at ease now. I would go with you, but I can see you wish to go on your own. The scroll contains the map and the key to the house. Naruto simply nodded without giving Jiraiya much acknowledgement. The subtle nod was only seen because of the group's experience in the shinobi arts. Naruto simply bowed in respect to the Hokage, before leaving the office. The tension in the room eased with Naruto's departure, but all the tree shinobi involved in the debates found themselves hard-pressed to fall back on their respective vices. Tsunade grabbed a bottle of sake underneath her table, Jiraiya vanished towards one of the bathhouses and Kakashi left the room while reading his perverted book. Shizune just left, not saying anything. She wasn't a part of the mess, but she knew one thing. When Naruto was pissed off at something, he sure knew how to keep the tensions high. The woman was seriously considering going to a bar and ordering a couple of drinks. Once outside, Naruto walked for 10 minutes until he arrived at the destination pointed out by the map. When he looked to see the house, he was hard-pressed to wonder about the necessity of hiding this place. First of all, it was located in a secluded neighborhood filled with identical twin two-story houses. The population here was rather mixed between civilian and shinobi, so Naruto must have figured that the place was better suited for small shinobi families. In front of the houses, a small playground was located. Thinking nothing of it, Naruto approached the small white gate that separated the little road from a small porch in front of the house. According to the scroll, the key to the house consisted in Naruto's fingertips, actually. As soon as he placed his hands on the fence, though, Naruto sensed something odd with the place. First of all, as he passed the fence, the usual noise outside was reduced somehow, which was strange. According to the scroll, the only Fuuinjutsu was located in the fence, but Naruto didn't understand much. He remembered getting through the place where Sujiro-sensei was located and guessed his father had done the same to protect his house. Once he opened the door to the house, Naruto was bombarded with the confined air that was begging to be released. As expected, the house was filled with dust on the floor and spider webs on the walls. The furniture was entirely covered in white sheets. Closing the door, Naruto started touching the wall to find a switch, before his hand touched what appeared to be a scroll paper. Instantly, the house lights came alive. Apparently, Both his parents were Fuinjutsu users, so it made sense that everything here would work by the use of seals. However, while the house had light, Naruto still needed to clean up the place. Quickly summoning 10 cage bunshines and sending them to do the dirty job, the real one began to scout the area for clues left by his parents. Lifting the sheets from the furniture, Naruto found a few pictures and looked closely at them. He found a picture of his father wearing his Hokage's outfit. There was another picture of his father with his Jounin attire, his mother and the Sandaime Hokage. It must have been the time when father was appointed the Yondaime, as the picture showed a disgruntled Orochimaru looking at them from the back. Naruto heard from Jiraiya one time that Orochimaru was meant to take on the Yondaime title, but Sandaime thought against in the end and nominated Minato instead. There was another picture of his father posing with 3 other people. Looking closer, Naruto could see a young Kakashi looking away. Naruto didn't recognize the other 2 next to his sensei, though. What he knew, though, was that the picture was very similar to the one he had taken with Sasuke, Sakura and Kakashi-sensei. Moving on, Naruto inspected the living room and found it very cozy despite the simple design. He smiled knowing that his parents weren't big fans of fancy stuff either. Naruto inspected the first floor a bit more until he came across another seal placed on the wall. There were no doors nearby and the lights were on. Naruto couldn't for the life of him figure out what this seal did. He placed his fingertips either way, wondering what would happen. Perhaps it turned on the water supply or something. He definitely wasn't expecting a door to materialize behind the seal and open to him. He saw a wooden made ladder going downstairs. Checking the quality of the wood, Naruto found that some of the steps were missing pieces, but nothing that couldn't be fixed, he reasoned. When the ladder ended, Naruto's eyes threatened to leave their sockets at what he saw. It was a library filled with scrolls and books on a lot of subjects. He found material about pretty much all there was out there about ninja arts, including the art of seals. After inspecting a bit, Naruto found a lone desk inside the library. On the desk was an open scroll and Naruto took a seat to check it out. Before reading, though, he sensed an odd feeling as he imagined how many times both his mother and his father were here studying. He smiled at the memory before checking the contents on the scroll. He was surprised to see that it was a letter from his parents. The letter was basically the same thing his parents said when they battled against the fox together. What surprised him was that the letter had one odd-looking seal that, according to the text, it was left by his mother and it contained the secret of her most powerful skill. Just like the other seals around the house, this one activated when Naruto pressed his hand and focused some chakra in it to show a new hidden scroll. The Chunin was flabbergasted when he read the contents of the new scroll. It contained the knowledge of his mother's ability to mold her chakra into chains. He figured he could learn bits and pieces about Fuinjutsu, but Naruto would smack himself in the head if he didn't learn his mother's ability. It did sound more like his style, as Naruto was more of a close-range fighter. Whispering praise of thank you to his parents, Naruto summoned even more cage bunshines to go over the contents of the library. He set aside one clone to do something for him outside the house, though. 15 minutes later. The clone managed to bring Yuigao inside the house. The Anbu captain was thrilled to be with her boyfriend as he went through this. She was inside the library as well and immediately drooled at the prospect of reading material about Kenjutsu. Naruto looked at Yuigao with a fond smile while going through the different knowledge in the library. All of a sudden, something popped in Naruto's mind and his eyes began to water a bit. Yuigao noticed it immediately and looked at Naruto for a while. What happened? Naruto said nothing for a while, before getting up from the chair. Could you follow me for a moment? Yuigao nodded as they climbed the ladders towards the living room and then another ladder to the second level. Yuigao was at a loss for what was going on, as they entered in one of the rooms. As soon as she saw the crib in the middle of the room, she understood completely. Instantly, the image of both the Yondaime Hokage and the woman from the picture appeared around the crib, smiling while playing with a baby Naruto with whisker marks. Yuigao gently embraced her boyfriend as he stared at the crib in front of him. There were no words that she could say to him now. All she could do was be there for him all the way. Eventually, Naruto turned to look at Yuigao with a smile on his face, despite the tears that were falling non-stop. He was back home after all. At the old Uchiha compound. When Zetsu and Tobi inspected the battlefield, neither of them were able to find Sasuke or Itachi's body. It was something Tobi couldn't have predicted, since based on the level of destruction and heavy usage of the chakra, it would seem that both bodies were destroyed. Sasuke going as far as to die together with his brother was unheard of. The same could be said for Itachi. Toby's Sharingan eyes began to spin madly, showing how angry he was that things haven't gone like he expected it to. I want you to scout this entire area and I find traces of them. The plant-like shinobi said nothing and went back to the ground, leaving an infuriated Toby alone, before the man vanished once more.